But I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roger, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It's Thursday night, which means it's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things, you may ask? You may wonder. You may ponder. Well, let me explain. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And yes, of course, as you know, we do the show live. We've always done this show live to include you, and we will continue to do this show live because there's just way too much to talk about, right? There's way too much to consider for one mere mortal. And what I mean by that is, well, myself. One mere mortal is just little old me. Little old me, what can you do, right? It's just myself. But if we add you to the mix, everybody out there listening, just little old me becomes quite a bit greater than that. It's like I always say, I'm me, you're you, but together we're us. And what I mean by that is you guys are the secret weapon of troubled minds, including I have no inside sources or any of the rest of this stuff. I just try and put together news cycles and maybe dream bigger, right? Try and figure out what the propaganda is and maybe find out exactly why in the world things just don't seem to be, well, as we're told. How about? I think that's probably the best way to put it. As we're told. Because, of course, as we're told is always a little bit, what would you call it? Suspicious. If you listen to the news at all or look at news cycles or just, casually browse the news on your phone or whatever, it only takes a cursory amount of like paying attention, just a smidgen of paying attention to realize something isn't right. There's something not right in this world, and I like to call it living in the upside down, and we're all part of that, and it's unfortunate, but we are, and so that's what we do. We get together and talk about this. Like I said, there's only one of me, but together there's a lot of us, and we can kind of put our heads together and come up with the ideas, the possibilities, again. And there's a few things about this show and about myself is I don't like to limit anything, meaning conversation-wise, idea-wise. I don't like to put limits on these things because guess why? Even though you'll listen to some of the things that I say and you'll be like, wow, this guy's off his rocker. I'm not. I mean, I guess you can always make a case that I may be, but the point is that if you limit a conversation in terms of scope, in terms of what people can and can't question or say, then we become, an entirely different thing. And it has nothing to do with speech or ideas. It becomes something very, very sinister. And so that's why I think that as part of this show, as always, right, we have the right to be wrong, okay? Like the part of the freedom of speech is the ability to practice a religion if you desire, or not if you desire, right? Or anywhere in between if you desire. That's protected speech as part of the First Amendment of the United States of America. And it should be protected the world over. But, what do I know? I'm not king of the world, like I said last night. But the thing is, though, right, with this speech, we are allowed to be wrong. We are allowed to speculate, and we are allowed to consider that, the things we're being told by the official sources may be flat out lies. And that's what this show is really about. It's not putting a limit on a conversation. It's leaving it open-ended, non-linear, and just taking ideas from all different belief systems, all different individuals all over the world, because we have people listening all over the world. And that's the idea here. It's a simple idea, right? It's really a simple idea. But it's becoming more and more revolutionary. I think maybe it's probably been revolutionary forever. I mean, we look at these guys, these ancient astronomers. I say ancient, but it's 1500s or whatever, where they threw them in jail, right, for questioning the heliocentric model, things like this. It's always been sort of taboo to think outside of the society you live in, right? It's always been, and it's okay. It's okay because it's not illegal. It's not illegal yet, and so we're going to keep on doing this. So, okay. So as part of that, like I said, we do this live to include you. You are the secret weapon of troubled minds, and if you want to be part of the show tonight, I think we have the phone lines fixed. We had them busted last night. If somebody wants to call me early, I would appreciate that just so we can get that out of the way and check to make sure this is not broken like yesterday. I went through everything, like I said, with a fine-tooth comb, and everything should be fine tonight. For sure, the Discord is working. Actually, let's make sure the Discord is on. Let me turn the Discord on real quick, and we'll do that. But okay, so if you want to be part of the show tonight, phone line should be up, and you can reach the show at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and you go to troubledminds.org. You can find the phone number there, the Discord link there. You can find all the things you need, all the Troubled Mind stuff, the podcast, and all the social media, etc. if you want to follow over there. But let's see. All right, so this is working. That's working. I think everything should be working. All right. Cross your fingers. Everything should be working. I'm crossing my fingers. I hope you're crossing yours. Okay, so point being is 702-957-1037. Let's get this call-in cam up. So, all right, there you go. Phone number's right there, and troubledminds.org. You can click the Discord link and be part of the show that way. Discord, of course, is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. You can use it from all over the world, and people use it to play video games. We use it to do a talk show. We use it to make friends on the internet. Instead of course, right, the opposite of what the internet seems to be made for if it's up to Zuckerberg and jerks like that. Well, division and hatred is what they're into, right? Because it pays. It pays. Division and hatred always pays. But being nice to people rarely pays. And so there you go. There you go. So, okay, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org. We are also streaming on and reading all the chat on Rockfin, YouTube, D Live, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. So please join the Fringe Discord as well. I'm watching that as we go tonight. Oh, oops, I didn't actually send out the notification to them. I'll do that now. But okay, so anyway, point being is part of the transparency process. I love to share my sources because a lot of times people tend to think I'm out there. Right? And that's okay because, like I said, it's part of being the target here. It's okay to think think I'm out there. But, well, instead of all that, we're gonna share our sources and say, look, I didn't make this stuff up, and you can be part of the conversation, and here's what I'm talking about. So there you go. So all my sources are linked on YouTube, and you can find all that stuff there, as always, and in the podcast feed as well. All right, what else? Join the Fringe Discord, fringe.fm/chat, and the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds is to download the Fringe app at your Android and Apple. What's that? App stores, I guess. Yeah, something like that. Okay, anyway, completely free. Download it, 705. Smash the play button on the Fringe app. You'll get Troubled Minds. Okay, now let's get to this. Let's get to this. Now, this is what got me thinking today. Now, there's a number of things, right? Usually, as you know me, I'm looking at news cycles. I'm thinking about things, trying to think about them outside of the box and consider all the possibilities, right? Well, let's start here. Well, let's not. Let's start here. Let's start with The Hill, okay? And this is one that was actually written by Avi Loeb. Everybody remembers Avi Loeb of Oumuamua fame. He's a Harvard astronomer, tops of the Harvard astronomer food chain, and he's written some pretty spicy stuff about aliens, about Oumuamua being possibly a light sail, and some of these other things, right? So the cool thing about that is that it's good that we get academics that are willing to sort of think outside that proverbial box, right? Because if you don't have academics thinking outside of their echo chambers, then what is it? It's just propaganda, isn't it? That's really all it is, and that's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And at least he's one that's willing to, and he gets a lot of flack for it, of course, because if somebody is a free thinker and wants to consider that there may be aliens out there, well, then they think you're nuts, right? And you get all the Twitterati and all the people just smashing the keyboard keys, the keyboard warriors trying to tell him he's crazy, etc., so on. But anyway, so this is from, again, The Hill, and it was written by Avi Loeb of Harvard fame. And the headline is this. This is pretty wild. Virtual realities may solve Fermi's paradox about extraterrestrials. All right, and so that's fine. That's cool to me. I was like, hey, this is kind of an interesting article, and I read through it, and it's not very compelling. It seems like the actual title isn't really it's kind of like he meandered a little bit and kind of never got there. It was weird. So he talks about virtual realities and geocentrism and all the rest of this stuff, but I don't know about he ever got to what the title of the article suggests about extraterrestrials and Fermi's paradox and virtual realities. But that's okay, because it didn't lead me there, right, to hit what the actual title was. I would have rewritten this title, but in any case, it starts like this. And of course, we're talking metaverse, right? The development of the metaverse venture on 3D virtual worlds may solve Fermi's paradox about extraterrestrials. The answer to Fermi's 70-year-old question, where is everybody, might be they are hooked to virtual reality goggles and do not engage in the actual universe that the rest of us share. All right? So there you go. That's like the best part of the rest of this, and it kind of just meanders from there, and you'll see what I mean. But this top part, the top part of this article, it meanders in a very good way, and you'll see what I mean. So it says, in his science fiction book Childhood's End, which we're going to get to, Arthur C. Clarke already forecasted virtual avatars as early as 1953. All right, and this is a passage from that book, and I'm going to read it, quote straight from this article, again written by Avi Loeb, and he's quoting Arthur C. Clarke from Childhood's End in 1953. Listen to this. First sound, then color, then stereoscopy, then cinerama had made the old moving pictures more and more like reality itself. Where was the end of the story? Surely the final stage would be reached when the audience forgot it was an audience and became part of the action. To achieve this would involve stimulation of all the senses and perhaps hypnosis as well. But many believed it to be practical. When the goal was attained, there would be an enormous enrichment of human experience. A man could become, for a while at least, any other person and could take part in any conceivable any conceivable adventure, real or imaginary. All right? This continues. He could even be a plant or an animal if it proved possible to capture and record the sense impressions of other living creatures. And when the program was over, he would have acquired a memory as vivid as any experience in his actual life. Indeed, indistinguishable from reality itself. Now, that in particular is pretty deep, but again, that's not Avi Loeb, that's Arthur C. Clarke from a book written in 1953 called Childhood's End. And so the good thing is I found this article. Like I said, it's a pretty wild notion to start, but we've talked a lot about virtual reality, VR existence. We've talked a lot about maybe living in an actual matrix and how this Philip K. Dick and the divine programmer and the dark counter player, we've talked a lot about this kind of recently because of what the release of Matrix Revolutions came out in December 22nd. So I was kind of burnt out of that type of discussion. But then I started digging into what this actual book, Childhood's End, was about by Arthur C. Clarke, and this gets wild. This gets like super WTF, all right? And this is what we're talking about tonight. So Arthur C. Clarke, Childhood's End, and again, so it started here. It started with Avi Loeb, and he, I think this is fine. And it's good that he's writing these things, that we get academics that are unafraid to kind of step outside the box, right? And so he's doing that. So kudos, bravo to Avi Loeb. All right, but this gets even more strange, all right? Because, well, not just talking about VR, like a VR reality, like Avi Loeb is describing. Then I ran into this, okay? And there were a couple articles I was kicking around to start with tonight, but I thought we'd do both because they both sort of make sense. So let's go to this. This is scinews.com, and this is wild, all right? We're going to get to it. We're going to get to where there's a point to this, I promise you. Astronomers find a primordial stellar stream in Milky Way's halo. All right. Now, what does that mean? Let's read just a little bit of this. The C19 stellar stream stretches across an impressive expanse of the night sky, roughly 30 times the width of the full moon, although it isn't visible to the naked eye. Its orbit extends about 20,000 light years from the galactic center at its closest approach and roughly 90,000 light years at its farthest. Quote, most of the stars in our neighborhood, such as the sun, were formed in our galaxy. However, a tiny fraction of the stars and star clusters in the Milky Way, which can be found in its surroundings, were brought here in smaller galaxies, said Dr. Joné González, an astronomer at the Institut de Astrofísica de Canarias. There you go. C19 was probably introduced into the galaxy this way, but has been losing its stars in its orbit around the galaxy as a result of tidal attractions, leaving a celestial footprint of stars. Now, okay. A primordial stellar stream in Milky Way's halo. Primordial stellar stream. Now, what could this be? What could this mean? I don't know. So it got me thinking about a lot of things per usual, right? Because you know the way I like to do this is to just think in terms of all the possibilities. All right. So we've got Avi Loeb describing that maybe there's the Fermi paradox can be explained through a VR experience. All right, I dig that. I'm cool with that. I like him thinking in those terms, maybe. But then check this out. Then we have this. We have the primordial stellar stream in Milky Way's halo. So the primordial stellar stream is invisible to the naked eye, but they've detected this, and they're talking about this, and it's, again, brand new. This is all from the last day or two, both of these articles. Again, links in the description. Check it out. They're all on YouTube right now. But here's the nutty part, right? When I start digging into that book by Arthur C. Clarke called Childhood's End, well, it's discussing an alien invasion. It's discussing a group of individuals, aliens, depends on how you want to term these things, that are termed the overlords in the book. The overlords, right? And not only that, we'll get to the plot of Childhood's End as we go tonight, because it's kind of it's wild. Basically, it's one of those ones that kind of makes you go, "Wow, this dude was tapped into something," right? And we're going to ask the question of what he may have been tapped into. But check this out. So we have the overlords that actually conducted an alien invasion, and they were working for a higher entity that may or may not have been the galaxy itself. And so the term that we're looking at is there's a bunch of terms here. There's cosmic consciousness is one term. There's what else is the other one? There's another term here that what's going on, guys? I hope everybody's doing well. I see in the chat. Let's see, what's the other one? Cosmic consciousness is one. Let's see, the other one is going to be called what did I title this thing today? The Galactic Overmind, right? The Galactic Overmind and a cosmic consciousness. All right. Now these are some of the terms that actually come about in this book by Arthur C. Clarke. All right. And so it got me thinking, okay, so if there is some sort of a galactic overmind or cosmic consciousness, then what exactly is this primordial stellar stream? They're saying it's like kind of a leftover remnants of the primordial galaxy. And, well, how else might you spread a cosmic consciousness? I think there's a little bit of weirdness to this. So that's what we're talking about tonight. That's what's on my mind. So a few questions. Have you ever heard of the term cosmic consciousness or the overmind? And if you have, what do you think it means? And, well, on top of that, do you think it's possible that we are all smaller consciousness as individuals of this overmind, of this cosmic consciousness, that we are just sort of like saplings, or we are just, I don't know, cactus pods dropped from the cactus that are growing in our own little spots. I don't know. Like, how do you make this a coherent analogy? I'm not sure you can, but, well, at least I can't in a flash. But okay, so anyway, it got me thinking about, well, we've talked about the Philip K. Dick and the living in the Matrix, and he talked a lot about that, and that was pretty wild and awesome, and that was a great conversation. But we haven't really spent a ton of time on not just consciousness of ourselves, but do you think there is an overmind out there, some sort of cosmic consciousness that's directing everything we do, that's actually sort of littered us out as maybe baby consciousness, baby singular consciousness, singulars, and is trying to eventually bring us back into its fold through some sort of hive mind, through some sort of like the Borg from Star Trek, something like that. So those are the questions tonight. So first, have you heard of this? Have you heard of this concept, this galactic overmind, galactic consciousness? And do you think that maybe we are part of something like that? We kind of talk about it in maybe abstract, abbreviated terms here and there on this show from time to time, because it kind of comes into, panpsychism, is the universe conscious itself, and all kinds of different things, right? So there's a whole bunch here to really consider. But it gets even more weird once you start to consider that maybe we are just babies. We're like saplings of this giant cosmic consciousness that put us out there to experience, well, the galaxy itself through it, but then it also at some point wants to absorb us back into itself as part of the larger consciousness. And maybe that's what the ascension process is and some of the rest of this. So anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this Arthur C. Clarke book called A Childhood's End? We'll get into the plot of that tonight. And I don't know. I think that when you start thinking in terms of maybe the cosmic consciousness or this term overmind, it starts to make my mind race and wonder, right? As I always say, my ego's too large to consider that, maybe we live in a simulation, because my ego rejects it outright. But what about my consciousness? Is that in and of itself mine and mine alone? Or does it belong somehow, some way to a galactic overmind? And that's what's on my mind tonight. Just casual thoughts on a Thursday for Troubled Minds Radio, as we do. And of course, love to hear from you. As always, the way this works is you are the secret weapon. Love to hear your thoughts. Do you think this is possible? We're going to get into some of this. We're going to talk about Walt Whitman tonight. We're going to talk about Arthur C. Clarke. We're going to talk about what the galactic overmind means. Well, hope you're digging it already. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Galactic Consciousness, the Overmind, Walt Whitman, and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we're talking about the concept of a cosmic consciousness. Have you ever heard the term Overmind? What does this mean? Looking to hear your thoughts. Do you think you're part of a larger consciousness that put you out as a sapling somewhere out there into the galaxy and is now trying to get you back? Well, that's what's on my mind tonight. If you want to be part of this discussion, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's test the phone with our good friend James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal. Test 1, 2. Can you hear me, my fine friend? Are you there? Test 1, 2.
I'm here.
Yes. Yes. Loud and clear, sir. Loud and clear. How are you, James?
I'm good. I'm good. Glad to be here. Very interesting topic. Very interesting.
Right on. I think so, too. Have you ever heard this term, this Overmind or the galactic sort of cosmic consciousness?
I have heard of similar things, yeah. And it's interesting. It really gets to that whole idea of us all being part of something bigger, or at least connected to something bigger. And it's really, I think it gets blurry once you get too far into it as to whether or not all our minds together make up something, or if it's more a case of we're just connected to something bigger. I mean, that's an interesting kind of distinction and just a set of ideas to explore. I have no idea what it really is.
Yeah,
but,
so,
it's hard to say.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. I don't know what it is either. And so I was reading some of the stuff, and there's like Deepak Chopra and guys like this are saying that part of the whole ascension process is actually us sort of ascending from this baby sapling sort of consciousness. I'm throwing the term sapling in there because it's the best way I can describe this. But like each of us are our own little mini consciousness that came from this larger, like, oak tree of this huge galaxy. And so part of what they're talking about in this ascension process, or whatever you want to call it, is that we're supposed to leave this consciousness and rejoin the source, right? This Overmind. So that seems pretty wild to me. And here's the thing too. So first, what's your thought on that?
Well, it's interesting because I've heard it suggested that the reason that we are kind of, I don't know how you want to call it, split off into basically us as we are now, is to have experiences that the larger consciousness can't have, because it's all just consciousness. It's not physical, or at least not in the same way as we are. It may not have the same emotions or just the same capacities for feeling or for even thinking, maybe, that we do in this form. So that's part of the reason why we are what we are, is to do the things that we do in life, or some people say in multiple lives, and then to go back to that larger consciousness so that it then can kind of take in those experiences from there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of using us as not just as vessels to maybe experience like the further universe in separate instances, right? It also at some point wants to bring us back, and then maybe envelop that into the whole, and then maybe start the process over again, right? Something like that, which turns into this pretty wild concept when you start to think about it. You know what's wild too is you may know about this or may not actually, because I didn't know this, but in Marvel Comics, there is an Overmind. Did you know that?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of cosmic beings out there that could be. I don't know. Are you referring to a certain one, or? I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's actually a character called the Overmind. Let me find it. Yeah, so okay. I thought, if you're not familiar, that's okay. That's okay, because I didn't want to. Yeah. Okay, so I thought maybe you were familiar because you are way more on the ball with the Marvel comic stuff than I am. I stopped following that way too long ago, and now I'm feeling old. And that's the way it goes.
I only know mainly the X-Men comics and mainly just from a certain period of time. So, and I know the rest of the comics just in general, but not in detail. But that is interesting. That I mean, they deal very heavily in symbolic, figures that have symbolic meanings and that are literal representations of ideas. There are beings, I believe it's in Marvel, that are, like, there's one that's known as eternity. There are different beings that are, look at death from Marvel, So there are beings that are basically the embodiment of an idea. So that doesn't surprise me that there is one for that there as well.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. And then how about this other thing, this Arthur C. Clarke, The Childhood's End? You ever read that? I know you're a sci-fi reader as well.
Yeah, I have not read that. I need to get into his books more. I wasn't into them as a kid, and only recently kind of learned of him more, and haven't gotten into his books yet. But I mean, I know he's one of the biggest names in sci-fi, So
definitely. Okay, so we'll get into that plot. It's pretty extreme and out there. It's one of those ones that makes you go, huh. It's kind of like he reminds me of with his concept, sort of like Philip K. Dick. It's almost like, or even maybe like Nikola Tesla, in that maybe he was tapped into something sort of greater than himself somehow, and he was trying to describe it through this fiction. Pretty good stuff. Amazing as always, James. You're the best. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do think that that's something that all writers can and maybe even do somehow manage to do sometimes, is to tap into something other than themselves. I think some writers do it more often than others, maybe, possibly. But I definitely believe that's a thing, because I've been writing since I was a kid, and every once in a while when I'm writing a scene, it just flows, and I'm barely even aware of being here or typing it. So,
like maybe you are channeling something like that.
Yeah. Yep. So it doesn't surprise me, especially someone that's considered a great like him in the field. That doesn't surprise me.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I've never been lucky enough to maybe channel that sort of creativity, but it's out there. It's out there for sure. So okay. So I appreciate it. Thanks you for jumping in early and testing the phone line. As you know, James was nice enough to offer earlier to help test it, but I myself ran out of time because there's always 10 things to do, or 100 things to do. It seems like as time's racing down to 7 p.m. and I got to put things together, and the pressure, James, I tell you what. But I appreciate you volunteering and then calling in and making sure the phone line works. Thank you so much. James here is a longtime friend of the show, a very good friend of mine. He's got a podcast. Give him some love. Check it out. It's called Salcedo Paranormal. You could find the link in the description below. And he does paranormal stuff 5 days a week, 5 nights a week. So great stuff. Thank you, James. I appreciate you calling in. Thanks for your amazing takes. Great as always.
Oh, thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot. You too. Talk to you soon. Catch you later on this evening in the after gig. Oh, yeah. I see you then. All right. Good stuff, James. Appreciate that. All right. So the phone line, it does work. Thank you to James for being the guinea pig to test it out and make sure. You can only do so much testing before you have the live situation. But okay. So the phone line does work. So what we're talking about tonight, again, is this cosmic consciousness. All right. Do you think this exists? Again, like in science, consciousness itself is still one of those sort of conundrums, right? They want to describe it as, maybe religious types would describe consciousness as a soul. Other science would describe it as just, you're lucky mud trying to make sense of the world around you, and that's not a soul. It's just you fooling yourself into thinking you have a soul. There's a whole lot just in that conversation alone. But then when you start thinking in terms of, okay, well, the consciousness itself, whatever this is, if you think of it in larger terms, is it connected to maybe a larger galaxy, maybe the galaxy as a whole, and we're sort of like baby consciousness just littered out all over the galaxy for it to learn and then at some point adopt us back into itself and take all of those learnings and then recycle them further out, right? And do it all again. Again, that cycle of creation, we've talked about that quite a lot on this show. But I don't know. So what are your thoughts there? Like I said, as we start tonight, we're going to get into Arthur C. Clarke and his book Childhood's End in a minute here. But it's a pretty wild concept in that, like I said, my ego doesn't like it because I like to think I'm me. I like to beat my chest and howl at the moon and think I'm doing that, right? But maybe it's not me. Maybe whatever it is that I am or whatever it is that you are is actually sort of brought about from somewhere else. So I don't know. That's the question tonight. So what are your thoughts? First off, the questions tonight, as always, we have questions. This is the question show, not the answer show. Answers are too easy because you just give the answer, which is basically an opinion, by the way, and then move on, right? Answers are so easy. Questions are a little bit harder. Have you heard of this Overmind, the galactic or cosmic consciousness? And do you think it's real? Do you think we have some sort of link to this with maybe through this panpsychism way of thinking where everything may be conscious and we're just sort of vessels to experience that, as James was describing, for this larger entity, something like that? I don't know. What are your thoughts here? And the phone line works, so that's the good news. So thank you very much to James Salcedo again of Salcedo Paranormal. So you can give us a call. 702-957-1037. We're also on the Discord. If you guys want to hop in and be part of that conversation, we'll put you on. And there you go. What's happening, guys? What's up? Call 555-5555. What's up, Joe Roop? I see you there. How you doing? I have no idea what you're talking about. How about call 702-957-1037? How about that instead? That'll work. So if you guys want to be part of the show, that's what we're doing. And have you heard of this? Have you heard of this concept? And if not, what do you think? Like I said, my ego doesn't like it. I reject all the things where I'm just some sort of sapling to some larger, I don't know, Lovecraftian old one or something. I don't like it. But it's not up to me, is it? Like at some point, I'm still part of this construct. I'm still part of this locked in this clay that we're locked into. So I don't make those rules, unfortunately. And so even if there are rules that lock us into this existence, I don't have to like them, do I? I don't have to like them. So what are your thoughts? We're going to get into Arthur C. Clarke here and talk about that in just a sec. But love to hear from you. I'm going to ban these spammers. I see you, spammers, you dirty spammers in the chat. I'm coming after you. All right. So if you want to be a part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. Appreciate James hopping in there and testing out the phone lines for us super quick because, live shows. You got to love live shows, right? Everything works until it doesn't work. Okay. So let's go to our good friend Joseph in Iowa. Let's click the buttons, do the things. Joseph in Iowa, welcome to Troubled Minds. You're on with Mike. How are you tonight?
All right.
Right on, my friend. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this this cosmic consciousness or the Overmind?
I think it would be as easy to say if it's that you can easily say it could be aliens too. You know, because like even me I had an experience and it's my opinion that it's an opinion that really made me question my reality. But like when I got to the core or the end, it was like my soul was gone. It was like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to give yourself to like a source that removes you completely. You know, and I don't know how to even explain it. You know.
Yeah, like it's so weird in the sense. So okay, in terms of this, like we are, we talk about the duality of creation. We all have parents, right? We have a mother and a father, right? Like we all do. Biologically, we have to, or we don't exist. Well, unless that's a whole nother show. If we don't, all right, if we don't have those two things, but right, the duality of creation means that me and you, Joseph, we can't exist without other entities that contributed to our being. You know what I'm saying? So like in that sense, to me, that's more like I can be okay with that, right? But once you start to say that all of it, our parents, our grandparents, the great-grand, all the way back to the beginning of everything is basically some sort of, well, like a concocted reality by some Lovecraftian old one, right? For lack of a better term. Like, what is a cosmic consciousness? And that's the weird part. So if we're little babies of that thing, and we all are, and that, like you said, that would include aliens, not just maybe ourselves. So we could say that the cosmic consciousness itself is maybe some sort of super evolved alien race. That's one way to look at it. Or secondary is that the alien race out there that's flying around in flying saucers or whatever, however you want to quantify that, is actually also part of that same cosmic consciousness, the Overmind. So we're like, cosmic brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Thoughts there?
I think like there's different like vibrations throughout the galaxy and stuff. So I picture an alien as something that's running an alien, unnatural vibration through space, keeping, maybe it's, I don't know, like it's running its own frequency of consciousness, like almost like an AI of some sort.
Yeah, and so I think there's a lot of facets here. So consciousness could be a lot of things, and it could be some sort of large AI. So back to that whole simulation hypothesis, right? So maybe I don't know. Like, have you ever had, like James was describing, or like I was describing with Arthur C. Clarke, ever had like a moment of inspiration where you didn't even know where it came from? It just kind of came from somewhere. Do you think maybe this is what we're experiencing by tapping into this thing, being inspired by other places in the galaxy? You know what I mean? That maybe we can't experience directly, but by being tapped into this larger consciousness, that's where this comes from?
Like inspiration, you're talking about like different, like motivation, and all the things come from, I don't know.
Yeah, creativity, whatever you want to call it.
I definitely think you can tap into your mind a lot. Definitely. I mean, I have bursts every morning, and I think that's part of the reason why, like, one of my problems, like, I really can't, like, since a little kid, I had a lot of energy, but like, I have 2 LLCs and all that, but I'm not sure. Like tapping, like I feel like I use the tools that are given to me, like through reality that's here, like on Earth. And then there's like, I don't know. I'm just rambling, man.
That's okay. Welcome to my world, bro. You're in the right place. You are totally in the right place. This is a talk show. That's cool. So I don't know if you got to give it like a thumbs up or a thumbs down just on the idea of some sort of galactic or cosmic consciousness. What would you say?
I'd say yeah, and like there's definitely something going on like out there, it's really hard to say what it is, but it's like a spiritual thing. I don't know.
All good. And it's and when you start thinking in terms of
I think ignorance is bliss, really. I like to talk about it, my experience, but really when it comes down to it, I don't want to put myself into overthinking on something that I already know is going to be too far out there. We got all these religions and all this conspiracy stuff. It's like obvious that really no one knows exactly what's going on until they know exactly what's going on.
Right. And but that's okay, right? That's part of like not just the discovery process of ourselves, but like the discovery process of where we fit in the universe. That stuff is okay, right? Like it's not. I know sometimes it's uncomfortable, but it's not. It's something everybody experiences, right? And I think that's part of the thing. Is I think most people think that's not the case, but I mean that's part of the strife of being a human being. It's like we're all going through this whatever this is. We're all going through it. So this is not something new. It's just, right, it's what makes us feel uneasy. There are big concepts here that are possibly at play. And so how do we define them for ourselves, and where do we fit into that puzzle? It's a lot, man. It's a lot. So I get it. I understand where you're coming from there. But I love thinking about it. I hope you do as well.
Yeah. I thought a lot into it in the beginning, but then I just started trying to think into myself a little bit more. And I kind of got screwed up. I'm addicted to everything. Like, I get addicted to VR. I just got VR like 4 days ago or so. And like, I've been playing that every day. So, but I'm doing a lot better.
Okay, that's good. That's for another time. We can talk about that as well. Like, what has your experience been like? We're running out of time here, so we don't have time to do that right now. But can you promise me you'll call back in another time and we can talk about that specifically?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome stuff. This is Joseph in Iowa, and he's got a YouTube channel. Check it out. It's called Hydro Hose. You can find the link in the description. Always got great thoughts for us, and I appreciate you listening. Appreciate you calling. You're the best, my friend. Have a fantastic night.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Thanks to James. Thanks to Joseph for testing out the phone lines, making sure everything works again. Again, technical difficulties, right? Once you unplug hardware and plug it back in, everything seems to break. Everything breaks. Everything was fine yesterday, and everything could be broken today. But we fixed it all up. Spent a lot of time the last 36 hours fixing up everything, and so we're good and solid, and everything works. So again, loving to hear your thoughts on this. There's another thing called these terms are all over the place, right? As you dig deeper into this, you get terms like the Overmind, right? You get terms like this cosmic consciousness. You get this other term that I found. This is from healthy.net. It's called non-local awareness. Think about what that means. Non-local awareness. So we're going to talk about that and some more of this as we go tonight. But again, what are your thoughts on this? Have you heard of this cosmic consciousness, this Overmind, this concept from the Arthur C. Clarke and his Childhood's End novel? Well, it gets even more weird, because not just this Overmind situation with like a cosmic consciousness, in that book itself, there's a sort of individual race that's working for them in sort of that alien capacity, like Joseph was describing there. This could be alien. And they were known in that book as the Overlords. So there you go. If you want to get creeped out and wonder about what the hell's really going on in the world, and if Arthur C. Clarke knew what was up, well, maybe we're in bigger trouble than we think. So anyway, as we wind this down, we're coming down to a break here, and still taking your phone calls, as you know. Open lines the entire show. Love to hear your thoughts. What do you know about the Overmind? What do you know about this cosmic consciousness? And have you heard the term non-local awareness? Yeah, well, a lot of this is new to me. As you know, I'm just a student in the game of life. And I'm trying to find out as much as I can and learn about as many concepts, whether that's religious, whether that's science, whether that's a mix of all three. You see what I did there? And it's all about me. And by being all about me, it's all about you. Because I think in some capacity, we are connected. But in what capacity? How deep does this go? How far out does this go? And I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join us. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. And well, as we come down to a quick break, don't go anywhere. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More non-local awareness, cosmic consciousness, and the Overmind when we return. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls tonight, of course, as we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. We do it Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, and those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And tonight, we're talking about Arthur C. Clarke. We're talking about Walt Whitman. We're talking about what they may have in common, which, of course, may be something known as the cosmic consciousness. Yeah, that's right. The cosmic consciousness. Have you ever heard the term Overmind? And what does it mean? Does it connect all of us together? Is it like the Force from Star Wars, right? It binds the galaxy together. It flows through us. Are we all connected, right? This idea of this sort of, it's so strange when you think in terms of maybe science, or you think in terms of religion, or how they the world seems to try and put them at odds with each other. But I don't see it that way. I see it as, religion a long time ago, and still is in maybe even ahead of science in some capacities, that they consider these larger concepts, that science is, it's great, it's fantastic, but I just don't think the two are as opposite as people like to frame them to be. I think that there's a pretty common theme and narrative there when you tie these things together and start considering not just what's happening with us and this lucky clay as we've been known through the Darwinian process, right? We used to be a primordial soup of lucky mud, and now we're like some golem walking around with, well, what inside of us? What is that exactly inside of us, right? Interesting. Curiouser and curiouser. So the concept of consciousness just as an individual is fascinating in and of itself. But then once you take it up a notch or two and wonder if there are larger versions of maybe a cosmic consciousness, or this idea of the overmind, that is not just, maybe we talked about like that, psychic space octopus on a show a while back, which seemed ridiculous, but it was sort of a similar concept in that maybe the universe was seeding alien life, or at least by galaxy, into all of its tentacle arms. And well, in this case, let's skip the biological stuff and go straight to the we're throwing out the meat suit tonight and just thinking about in terms of energy, in terms of this consciousness from a singular entity, just yourself, myself, or whatever, and take it in terms of, well, is there something larger in the consciousness realm? Do we, people talk about what happens when we die and things like this. Well, do we dip back into this overmind, this maybe cosmic consciousness that is, trying to not only birth us and give us our own experiences, but then also at some point get us back into the fold so they can learn from what we learned as individuals. And, well, then we see some sort of cosmic evolution then, don't we? So I don't know. Pretty wild thoughts here, but we'll get to Arthur C. Clarke and Walt Whitman in a sec here. But basically, the idea is this. And so just before we get into the rest of this, we're streaming, of course. I said Rockfin, YouTube, D Live, and Twitter. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If you want to be part of the show tonight, love to hear your thoughts. Great calls so far from James and Joseph. Phone line is back up and working, and you can reach Troubled Minds at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Also, please join the Fringe Discord at fringe.fm/chat. That will give you a direct invite. I'm watching all the chats, trying to keep up with everything with my octopus arms, octopus eyes, as I say. I promise I'm human. I promise I'm human. But yeah, so reading all the chat in all those places and watching all of the phone calls or whatever is coming in, smashing all the buttons. I've got my own board op right here. His name is Mike Strange. The whole team. I've got a clone of Mike Strange's. No, just kidding. It's just me. But okay, so that's what we're doing tonight. You can also download the Fringe FM app at your favorite app store. That'd be Apple or also Android. It's completely free, and it's the best way to listen to Troubled Minds and all the additional great programming that Fringe has to offer. By the way, Fringe is, there's a thing going on. And typically, most nights, we've got 6 hours of live radio from 7 p.m. all the way to 1 a.m. Pacific time. And it goes Michael Strange here, Troubled Minds. We go Joe Roop after that, Lighting the Void, and then Ryan Gable with The Secret Teachings. It's a banger lineup. And if you couldn't do better for a solid 6 hours of radio. So if you don't have the Fringe app, please check it out. Completely free. Smash the button. Smash the play button. It'll get you on what's going on with us. Okay. So let's do it. Let's get back to this. Now, this gets wild, all right? So let's go to this. So we're talking in terms of this idea of non-local awareness, okay? We're talking in terms of this overmind or this cosmic consciousness, okay? And the idea that I got it from was, again, from this Avi Loeb article written by The Hill, actually contributed by Avi Loeb to The Hill. And it's pretty hot the way this starts out. He's talking about the metaverse and how it can possibly explain the Fermi paradox, and that why we don't see aliens easily is because we or them or both are in some sort of VR experience, which is our reality, okay? So there's that. But then there's an additional on top of that where he starts talking about this idea from the science fiction book Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. And he's saying that Arthur C. Clarke predicted in 1953 in this novel that the VR experience was coming. And it's pretty chilling when you think in terms of Joseph just called in. He said he's addicted to VR. It's like this is happening already, right? Like it's kind of tapping into us. So what if we're already addicted to VR in this reality, and we just don't even know it, right? Pretty wild stuff. But here we go. So this is from Childhood's End, and we'll get to the plot on this, which is absolutely insane. But it starts like this, and this is what Avi Loeb cited, and this is pretty amazing. 1953, this was written. First sound, then color, then stereoscopy, then cinerama had made the old moving pictures more and more like reality itself. Where was the end of the story? Surely the final stage would be reached when the audience forgot it was an audience and became part of the action. To achieve this would involve stimulation of all the senses and perhaps hypnosis as well. Interesting thought there. But many believed it to be practical. When the goal was attained, there would be an enormous enrichment of human experience. A man could become, for a while at least, any other person and could take part in any conceivable adventure, real or imaginary. He could even be a plant or an animal if it proved possible to capture and record the sense impressions of the other living creatures. And when the program was over, he would have acquired a memory as vivid as any experience in his actual life. Indeed, indistinguishable from reality itself. And this right here is what caught my attention. I was like, okay, this sounds pretty wild. What was Arthur C. Clarke onto in this Childhood's End in 1953? And you'll never believe this. You'll never believe this. This gets wild, right? Here you go. Plot synopsis. Childhood End is a 1953 science fiction novel by British author Arthur C. Clarke. The story follows the peaceful alien invasion of Earth by the mysterious overlords, whose arrival begins decades of apparent utopia under indirect alien rule at the cost of human identity and culture. Right? This is from Wikipedia, of course, the Ministry of Truth. Clarke's idea for the book began with his short story Guardian Angel, which he expanded into a novel in 1952, and several attempts to adapt the novel into a film or miniseries have been made with various levels of success. So basically, just a short nutshell version of this is we have a peaceful alien invasion. They show up to Earth, they take over, but they say, look, we're not going to do this the hard way. We're going to do this the easy way. We're going to take over administration. We're going to run things properly. You guys are just hating each other, starting wars, and it's horrific. We're going to fix this for you. They show up, and our benevolent aliens restructure the Earth, the world, and turn it into this utopia. All right? The term utopia, isn't it such a loaded term? Utopia. It's I'm sure it exists somewhere, right? Just maybe not in this universe. But anyway, I digress. So point is this, right? So these alien overlords start actually known as overlords. That's what they call these, whatever they are. They end up, well, of course, teaching children to be telepathic, to link into each other's minds directly, to be magical, to be all of these things that science says you cannot be. All right, so these aliens start teaching. Again, this is from 1953, Arthur C. Clarke, called Childhood's End. But it turns into, well, it's a benevolent takeover. And the overlords themselves are working for a larger entity known as the Overmind. And so the whole concept is that it may not be ascension and returning to the source that the consciousness of human beings end up as the result of this, as a maybe ascension process and becoming something, but instead they're being coerced and forced into returning to the source at the cost of humanity, at the cost of creation, at the cost of all the rest of this stuff, all the beautiful things that make people beautiful. All right. And so, well, there's your dystopia, right? Always utopia until they draw the curtain and you see the monster behind the curtain, and then things change, don't they? So look and hear your thoughts on this. What do you think about this idea of this cosmic consciousness, this non-local, what was that term? Non-local. Oh boy, so much here. Okay, the cosmic consciousness, the overmind. We'll go with that until I can remember the other term. The too many things going through my head all at once. But okay, so let's do it. We're still talking about this, thinking about this. If you want to be part of the show, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as this. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike. I could not resist on this one. It's I think it feels like, it's moving. It's a very moving topic. And it seems on the surface like it's just, like it's, like you can just take it as it is. It's this overmind idea. And I mean, when you really think about it, there's so much to it. Like when I think about the overmind itself and what it could be, you think of, like, every single individual person, you could start with that, and how they each have their own mind uniquely, and even though you could take, like, say 2 children and give them the exact same experience, perhaps like in a laboratory or something, or in any type of environment where they have an identical sort of experience, something unusual about it is that each one will have a unique take on it. Like you can take 12 mice and the same thing will be true. They'll all have this, they'll appear to be identical, but they have a uniqueness about them and about their consciousness. And you can apply that across the spectrum into every single element, like whether it's just all of the elements of existence, whether it's phosphorus or hydrogen or anything like that. And they all have a unique way that they're interacting with the environment, it seems. And even, water and all the things in nature have their own unique way that they're interacting with our reality. And even though it's identical, like the trees and leaves, on a closer inspection, there is a uniqueness about everything. And this Overmind appears to be like that. Like, if you combine all of those together, even space, and not just these things individually, but all the things in between it, like even the dark matter and the empty space, in between all of these different consciousnesses. And I think then I think when you come down to this idea about the Arthur C. Clarke book, what's really key in that is about the choice of existing or not. And if you go back to a lot of the old stories about they have the right to choose, and just give them the right to choose, as said by, the Satan archetype, but it comes up in a lot of other places. And it's really unusual because in this account, in that story, one thing that is being taken away is the choice. And what's really weird about that is we don't have a choice in existing. Like when or some people would say that you do. I'm not going to say that for a fact or anything. But when you think about, for example, a litter of kittens, the kittens didn't have a choice that they were going to be existing. And an infant doesn't have a choice that it's going to be born. And what the being will be something it's something unique inside of their consciousness that will make them like no other thing. Even though they will have they can have identical experiences or similar experiences, it seems to be all about the interpretation. And the closest thing you get to it seems to be like when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, it's as if the entire scan of the day and possibly seems to all be like uploaded, so to speak, to something else. And then the ultimate event horizon, or like the black hole of the final last sleep, seems to be the culmination of the entire experience of the being going to something. And I think that if you were to try to figure out what that something is, that is the Overmind, and we a lot of times think that it might be the closest thing we can think of is gods, demons, different tiers of angelic beings, up or down or side to side, or aliens. It's the biggest things we can think of as far as what might be behind the whole thing. But what's the problem with that is, though, I think, that we are amongst these same gods and demons and different tiers of angelic beings, or whatever you want to call them, or aliens. We are on the same exact par, and so is every single thing that is recording and observing and interacting with this environment, whatever this reality is. And so I think if you were to understand what it was, and maybe some of those beings, those spirits or whatever they are, that seem to be kind of comprehending more than we do, is because they don't have they're not interacting on the same plane, so they have a bigger overview. But do they have the entire view? I don't think so. And I think if you were to understand what the thing is that does have the entire overview, I think something would happen, like some kind of like crack in, some kind of crack in reality or something. I don't know what would happen to an individual if they should figure that out.
Yeah,
but
almost.
We're always wondering.
Right, almost like you're not allowed to experience all of it at the same time. It has to be sort of subdivided, and then even so, like us, sort of in like the carnal version of that, this meat suit or whatever it is that we are, is that maybe this whatever higher entity, aliens, angels, demons, archons, whatever the hell you want to call this, the Overmind, this consciousness, whatever this thing is, it seems like it can't experience anything without us, right? Like it needs us. Like it seems to be, whatever this thing is, it seems to be super invested in us, even if it's like aliens, right? This goes back to some of those alien mythologies. They say the gray aliens come as these biomechanical, futuristic transhuman alien sort of things, right? But then they're here super fascinated with us as some sort of idea that they want to study our consciousness because they've lost theirs somewhere along the way, something like that, right? It's pretty bizarre where, like you just said, maybe you can't have all the things at the same time, or it does maybe create a CERN-like vacuum decay reality.
Right. And it's strange because when you're experiencing this and all the, like wolves and bears and human beings and fish and whales and birds and the whole thing, they're only experiencing themselves in a way, except it's more than that. Like there's also something moving behind it, right? Like when you see a flock of birds that will all move in the same way without even looking at each other, or a school of fish doing the same thing. And I think people have some version of that is akin to like a hive mind, but it's not exactly like that. Not exactly like that with people, but there is something kind of like it going on, it seems. Like how that with the imitation and so on and so forth. But it's like you can only see the experience from yourself, just like kind of like the demons or the God concepts. It's from its own unique perspective, and it's it experiences through cause and effect. And what we're doing as far as trying to understand our environment is through empathy with each other, and then the cause and effects of things that are, and the reaction. And those things are, and how unique that is. But as far as, the things, whatever this is that's behind it, I think that there are high entities and high beings of some kind that always seek to make the whole thing itself. But see, that's what's weird too. It externalizes itself. All the dictators do it. All the rulers do it. They don't internalize, they externalize. And they try to take the whole thing over, which is kind of what's going on in that book. It's like these beings couldn't be the thing. They can't be the thing because they are only externalizing. It's the influence upon everything else, outside of itself. There's something about that going on. I don't know what it is, but that internalizing or externalizing thing, because you see it with all, any type of individual who reaches a very high level, they try to externalize onto everything else around them, themselves onto everything else around them, instead of the other way around. Because something would happen if it went the other way around. I think there'd be like an explosion or something, if something were to internalize rather than externalize. That, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like the time-space continuum. You can time travel forward, they say, but you can't go backward or things start to break. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, totally. Like totally. We are out of time, Jennifer. It's a really cool topic. Yeah, thank you. Always amazing insight from you. We're going to get to exactly what you described there at the end with some of these individuals, these special individuals that sort of externalize this stuff instead. We'll get to that in just a moment. But before we do that, Jennifer here has a YouTube channel. Amazing insight as always on pretty much whatever we're talking about. So, you can tell how brilliant she is. Give her a follow. Links in the description. It says follow Jennifer here. Thank you, Jennifer. Always a pleasure. You're the best. Appreciate the phone call. Stay warm. Thank you, Mike. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. All right. That's it. Simple as that. 702-957-1037. Give us a call and give us your thoughts. Have you heard of the Overmind? What do you think about a cosmic consciousness? Do you think there's something nefarious to this or not? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More? Well, the rest of this when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss this concept of the Overmind. What is that exactly? Well, sort of a cosmic consciousness. Do you think that there's some larger entity out there, shouting out to you, Derek, maybe a Lovecraftian old one, some primordial entity from the beginning of the universe that's actually using us as some way to experience itself?
Well, you tell me. Love to hear your thoughts on this. We're talking about Arthur C. Clarke and his book called Childhood's End. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Fantastic call so far, as always. And looking for your thoughts on this. We're going to get Walt Whitman into this, right? Which seems odd, right? It seems like an odd mix of like, okay, you're talking Arthur C. Clarke, you're talking aliens, these things called the overlords. It seems strange, right? Where you're like, nah. Mike, why are you going to bring Walt Whitman into this? This seems wrong. Hold on, it's not my idea. It's not my idea. Hold on, check this out. This is pretty wild, right? Okay, hold on. We got this. Let's see. Let me find this. Just one moment, please. One moment, please. We've got this. Hold on. Here we go. This is from Psychology Today. All right, Psychology Today. Check this out. This is written by an individual named Steve Taylor, PhD. And it's called Cosmic Consciousness, the Wakefulness of Walt Whitman. Yep. Here we go. It says, to my knowledge, the first ever psychological study of what I call wakefulness, a higher functioning, expansive state of being, was conducted by Canadian psychiatrist Richard M. Buck, B-U-C-K-E, and published as Cosmic Consciousness, a study in the evolution of the human mind in 1901. Buck gathered 36 examples of people he believed had attained cosmic consciousness, all right, which is what we're talking about. He says, including historical figures such as the Buddha, Moses, Jesus, Dante, the 18th century Swedish philosopher Emanuel Swedenborg, and a number of contemporaries, some of whom he knew personally. The main characteristics of cosmic consciousness is identified by Buck are joyfulness, a revelation of the meaning, purpose, and aliveness of the universe, a sense of immortality, a loss of fear of death, and an absence of the concept of sin. Buck also highlights the importance of light. Cosmic consciousness may feature an experience of being, quote, immersed in a flame or rose-colored cloud, or perhaps rather a sense that the mind is itself filled with such a cloud or haze. Now, like I said, I didn't expect for this to go as deep as it did. Well, it like always, right? You say down the rabbit hole, right? Down the rabbit hole, and they're everywhere. They're literally everywhere. You can look in a cursory manner and try and find this thing, that thing, the other thing, and just sort of, again, we started with an article tonight by Avi Loeb talking about this book by Arthur C. Clarke and sort of the idea that in 1953, Arthur C. Clarke had predicted this metaverse, all right, this idea that we could be avatars within some sort of construct. It not just in a sense of maybe a consciousness from a larger group of consciousness, or maybe singular main consciousness, like this idea of the overmind that we're talking about tonight. But then again, on top of that, maybe that there's a digital element as well, right? So again, 1953, these are not new concepts. This has been sci-fi for a very long time, but this gets wild, right? Like, again, why do you say, Mike, why Walt Whitman? Well, let me tell you why Walt Whitman. Let's before we finish the rest of this and get into why, let's look at some of these amazing quotes by Walt Whitman. By the way, we're taking your phone calls as we talk about the overmind, the actual cosmic consciousness, and what all this means. Meaning that are you stuck in some sort of larger cosmic cycle of maybe your consciousness isn't what you think it is? Maybe that ascension process is, interestingly, like Jennifer brought up on the call there, maybe it's a choice factor, right? In that, in Arthur C. Clarke's, what was it called again? Childhood's End. They're removing the choice. Like some people maybe prefer to stay in what, Austin, shout out to Austin out there if you're listening, he calls a low vibratory state, is they don't want to ascend. They're, for whatever reason, right? Whether you think it's the karmic cycle of reincarnation, or whether you think it's who knows, whatever it happens to be, right? There is a choice involved, right? You can choose to take the high road as much as possible for your entire life. These are choices, right? But of course, again, we got circumstance and all kinds of like cruel realities of the world and all these things, right? But you can choose. You can choose these things. Given like the fork in the road, if you always choose the correct path, well, what does that mean? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your soul, your consciousness, this ascension? But anyway, I digress. Back to Walt Whitman, right? Before you like to double digress, talking about the forked road, and now we've forked the road 7 times and I'm lost myself. Well, I'm not entirely lost. Check this out. Walt Whitman said this: "Oh, while I live, to be the ruler of life, not a slave, to meet life as a powerful conqueror, and nothing exterior to me will ever take command of me." Does that sound like an enlightened individual? Does that sound like somebody that is maybe tuned into this cosmic consciousness? Again, back to this Psychology Today article. This individual here, again, his name is Steve Taylor, PhD. He says that according to Richard Buck, the idea of this maybe locked into this cosmic consciousness, or joyfulness, a revelation of the meaning, purpose, and aliveness of the universe, a sense of immortality, right? Well, what do I always say? Be unafraid. Why all this fear-based media, it pisses me off entirely. Stop being afraid. You know, if you're listening to this tonight, if you're on the Fringe FM, you're listening to us on any of these other platforms, you know, I don't have to like go stand on a bucket and preach this on the corner. You know, right? Fear is a killer. It's a mind killer. It's a killer of creativity. It's a killer of your spirit. So why be afraid? Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. I don't know if Kelly's out there. We'll read the Kelly being afraid quote a little bit later. But I mean, this is the whole point of this, right? So Walt Whitman, that's an amazing quote, right? That was pretty good. That's pretty. Walt Whitman, he's pretty good. He's all right. You know, Aristotle, Socrates. You ever heard these guys? Morons. I'm just kidding. Walt Whitman. Yeah, pro. Want another one? Check this out. To me, every hour of the day and night is an unspeakably perfect miracle. You see? There's beauty in the things around us. There's wonder in the things around us. And if you're able to actually lock into that and sense it and feel it and know it, is that basically what maybe this consciousness is all about? Is that really what this is, this cosmic consciousness, the overmind? Do you think it wants to see the beauty in the universe around us? Do you think it wants to maybe lead us to enlightenment through that path? Or again, back to this idea of maybe the archons or the overlords or this nefarious overmind that would rob us of that choice, that would tell us as human beings, well, no, you can't be you anymore. We're revoking that privilege. How do you think this turns out? And again, right, these are cosmic questions. These are questions pretty much larger than we can ask and answer in one conversation here. But what do you think? That's what this is all about. As always, this is not about what I think. I'm just one guy. I'm a jerk on the internet with a microphone. That's all I am. There's nothing special here. The only the point here for all of this is, what do you think? Have you heard of this? What do you believe? Is there a special spark inside of this lucky mud? Or is there not? You think we are exactly as cold, hard spreadsheet science would describe lucky mud? Billions of years of roughshod evolution in the savage garden. You tell me. Do you want to be part of the show tonight, part of this discussion? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Phone line works, and appreciate the phone calls thus far getting us to this point. But I don't know. I think there's a lot to this. It's not as everything, right? You can start down an entire sort of idea, right? I do love doing this because it leads me down so many paths of just, again, philosophy, again, of spirituality, of, challenging myself to be able to describe these things on the spot, unscripted, right? Like, it's like this process in and of itself, this troubled minds thing, just all by itself, seems to be, right, that process. And again, I'm not trying to say this is any sort of anything other than what it is. I'm saying my experience through it. I've met amazing people through this, right? I have experienced so many different perspectives and takes and ideas about life and the way we live it and what we expect when we die and all these things, right? And like I continue to say, it's true. Unlike the propagandists, I really believe diversity is our strength. Even though we're different, we have to be different. Imagine if we were all the same. What a bunch of boring ass world we would be, and this would be. What a joke. What a waste of everybody's time. We have to be different. If we're not different, what do we have? Nothing at all, right? Nothing at all. And so that brings me to the point. If we have a cosmic consciousness, it is itself. And it's only itself. And without us, it cannot express variation. It cannot experience variation. And as such, we are more valuable than anything else to some actual form of cosmic consciousness. I don't know. More Walt Whitman, and we'll get to the rest of this in a sec. I don't know. So what are your thoughts here? Like I said, big thoughts. I love it. I love thinking about the universe in terms of abstracts, in terms of maybe the spark inside of humanity, thinking in terms of, what comes next. But then in terms of, right, this is the thing, right? People are so fear, like I said. People are so locked into this fear cycle. Thank you, mainstream media. Well, you can go screw yourself. Let's just say it like it is, right? Mainstream media with your fear constantly, right? And everybody's so obsessed with death. But again, you think of it in terms of, in the grand scheme, all the time that our energy spends here in this universe, we spend way more time dead than we do alive. But if there's a dead, there's also a before dead. What happens before you're born, right? Like, there's a whole lot that just makes me unafraid. Why? Our ancestors have been through this. When you walk into a room, you are not yourself. You are the culmination of thousands and thousands and thousands of your ancestors just to create you. That whole DNA memory, that whole standing on the shoulders of giants, it's you. Just rolling out of bed in the morning, it's you. And that's what this show's about. This show's about being unafraid. It's about looking up at the stars and not just beating your chest and howling at the moon, but considering our place in this world. What do you think? What do you think? Let's get back to this article. We'll get to some more Walt Whitman in a sec because the dude was amazing. But this back to the article of Richard M. Buck. All right, published in this study, Cosmic Consciousness, a study in the evolution of the human mind, all the way back in 1901. All right, 1901. Let's see, make sure everything's fine here. We're all good. I've been a bad talk show host, not checking all the things like I should. Okay, so the thing is this, right? As this continues, the main characteristics of obtaining this cosmic consciousness are described as this: joyfulness, a revelation of the meaning, purpose, and aliveness of the universe, a sense of immortality, a loss of fear or death, and an absence of the concept of sin. And that's an interesting thing too, the absence of the concept of sin. And I don't think it means it in like a demonic way or anything like that. I think in terms of, we're talking about enlightenment, I think it means in the sense of redemption. in that if you screw up, you deserve redemption. And I was saying this the other night on the Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link. Come hang out. Come meet all the amazing people that have been part of this community. And I think that is the thing about sin. Is that, yeah, right? We're all human. And as part of that, we were born into sin, they say, right? That's how it goes. Because we are flesh and blood. We are sort of locked into these patterns that try to control us constantly. And so the fight is for us trying to control those patterns instead. Take control of that. But if you screw up, do you think you should be canceled? Do you think you should be deprived of your ability to eat? Or do you think you deserve a chance at redemption? And that's what this is all about. That's what these conversations are always all about. We have the right to be wrong. We have the right to discuss concepts larger than ourselves. And, damn it, we have the right to talk about things that other people don't want to talk about. It's simple, right? It's a simple concept, but it's also not. And that's what makes it beautiful. So here we go, back to this. Cosmic consciousness may feature an experience of being immersed in a flame or rose-colored cloud, or perhaps rather a sense that the mind is itself filled with such a cloud or haze. You tell me. Here we go. Interestingly, Buck's interest in cosmic consciousness was partly inspired by the poet Walt Whitman. Here we go. Initially by his poetry and then by his personal encounters with Whitman. Buck not only included Whitman in his book as an example of cosmic consciousness, but also regarded him as the highest instance of cosmic consciousness above the Buddha and Jesus. Again, this is according to one person, but still, that's pretty high praise, don't you think? In Buck's view, Whitman was able to integrate his mystical consciousness into his ordinary personality without allowing it to take over and tyrannize over the rest. This meant that he could live in a completely ordinary way, interacting with ordinary people in everyday life, rather than become otherworldly and detached and live as a monk or a hermit. I don't know. We got a few minutes left if you guys want to give us your take on this. What do you think? What is this sense of this cosmic consciousness? Is this some sort of, I don't know, academic woo-woo where they're trying to just get some, I don't know, brownie points with Avi Loeb or something? Or do you think this is actually something worth considering? That we are not part of our own singular consciousness, but we're part of a larger, maybe cosmic consciousness, something known as the Overmind, according to Arthur C. Clarke. But then again, we'll get into the rest of this as we continue tonight. But what about the overlords? What about the individuals that are sort of shepherding consciousness back to that Overmind? Is that the Archons? What exactly does all this mean? I don't know. Again, like I said, answers are easy. Answers are so easy. You just give the answers, don't you? It's so easy. I think it's harder to kind of take abstract concepts and then follow them down wherever they lead you and get challenged by every question that comes up. I think that's far more interesting than some propagandist jerk just spitting answers at you. But anyway, that's me. That's me. Again, right? That's the beauty of just being able to be you. You be you, I'll be me, and that's that, right? That's that. And I'm talking, you know who I'm talking to, all the folks out there that watch CNN and Fox News. Sorry, but ick. Okay, so anyway, so this gets pretty wild, right? Gets into, again, remember, so Buck gathered 36 examples. This is from a paper by Richard M. Buck back in 1901, all the way back in 1901, right? And he gathered a group of 36 samples of people he believed had attained cosmic consciousness, including historical figures such as the Buddha, Moses, Jesus, Dante, and the 18th century Swedish philosopher Emanuel Swedenborg. And, of course, a number of contemporaries, including he put Walt Whitman above Jesus and Buddha. Weird, no? Weird, no? I think that's weird. I think it's, again, it's high praise. It's have you ever met somebody like that, by the way? Somebody that sort of, just being in their presence was sort of like still water. That sort of really embodied this idea of this cosmic consciousness, and that they were entirely unafraid. It wasn't like, you know, trying to be or aspiration to or any of that. It was just, as they say, right, still water runs deep. That sort of situation. Have you ever met somebody like that, where they are just sort of otherworldly? It's almost like they don't belong here. It's weird. It's a weird thing. I have met people like that. I don't know if it's I don't know. Again, like, definitions are incredibly difficult because it's easy to define things. It's easy to make accusations, or, maybe stem an entire human being down to, a sentence. I have a hard time with that. Again, I'm verbose, obviously and clearly, but it's also because I think being succinct about complex ideas is hard. It's hard. It's like boiling down a person to a few words. It seems like sacrilege to me. Like, people are way more than that. Even though, right? They call them eulogies when people pass on. They put a few words on their gravestones, things like this. That's incredibly hard because those people are way more than that. They have been, and they always will be. So I don't know. Just some musings from a weirdo on the internet on a Thursday night. So I don't know. In conclusion here, I'm not so sure about Walt Whitman being, Jesus-like, but he did seem to have some pretty fine intellect and instinct with a lot of these things that I was reading. Again, you can look at some of the quotes he talked about, read some of his poems. He seemed to be locked into something, right? Being able to sense the beauty in every moment, in everything. And I think maybe, there's something there. I think instead of being part of this, locked into this fear cycle of propaganda media and BS, that maybe it isn't like it seems. Maybe this is where we need to be, more like Walt Whitman, instead of, whatever religious figure you want to add to the mix here. But anyway, we're just about running out of time, so I'm not sure. Like I said, as always, I don't know the answers to these things. If I did, things would be so easy. You'd start the show, you read your list of answers, and then you're done, right? So not only is it way less fun, it's also, pretty arrogant. It's just pretty arrogant. Propagandist answers come easy, and to troubled minds, answers come hard. And I always call them the slippery fish. And so, as we finish, I leave the slippery fish to you. Happy Thursday night. This is the Troubled Minds weekend, so no Troubled Minds tomorrow. But as we finish, it goes a little something like this. Let's smash the button. Oops, that's the wrong button, but we'll roll with it. So, as we finish, there's no conclusions here. This is an open-ended, ongoing, non-linear conversation, and it's up to you. What do you think? Do you believe in this idea of a cosmic consciousness, or do you not? Do you think you're you, and singularly you, or something else entirely? Like I said, this is not the Church of Troubled Minds. You do you, I'll do me, but I'm you, you're me, together we're us. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to the musings of a weirdo on the internet. And we'll be back. We do Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. You can find us on Fringe FM. You can find us on all these other platforms. Speaking of Fringe FM, if you're listening to us on Fringe, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any of those other platforms, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. We're still taking phone calls. We're still taking your thoughts on this idea of this cosmic consciousness. What do you think? And as we finish, it goes a little something like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. All right. Anybody interested? Knock, knock, knock. Anybody out there? Well, what's going on? There you go. Exhausted. See? What's up, Derek? Welcome to the exhausted party. I'm with you, brother. Let's see. What's going on? You're good. You're good. Welcome to the Thunderdome. There's a lot here, right? There's a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. Lazy Guy X says, Walt Whitman didn't let the views of time stand in his ways of looking at the world. He lived and spoke of it as he saw it. And there you go. David says, we are the seekers. Absolutely. What's going on? Tim says, the universe watches the listeners and speaks to the lookers. I love it. Let's see. What else? Good stuff, guys. David says, it's labels that divide us, of course. It's definitely weird because of how many miracles did Walt Whitman perform. Yeah, exactly right. What's up, Lily? Says, nope. Trogdor, gotta head out, y'all. Right on, cool. Right on, cool. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break here, 2-minute break. We're still taking your phone calls. What do you think? What do you think about the idea of this cosmic consciousness? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org. Phone number in the Discord's there. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. More Troubled Minds on the way. Looking to hear from you. It is Friday night as far as Troubled Minds concerned, so we got time if you got things to say. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're just hanging out. We're talking with our friends, and I see you guys out there in the chat. Thanks for all the amazing chat. Thanks for hanging out and being part of this crazy conversation as usual, right? It wouldn't be Troubled Minds if we weren't having crazy conversations. And I don't know. I think that when you look in terms of maybe this larger version of a consciousness, the Overmind, right? It kind of, well, it's would you call it polarizing, maybe. And that, again, right, like I said, it's kind of like the same thing with, like I said earlier, is that the idea of a simulation, living in a simulation, the simulation theory, my ego hates it, right? And so my ego also hates and rejects the idea of an overmind, even though, let's say I was at sapling, right? Let's say I was spawned from said higher consciousness that could be, what's up, Derek? Speaking to you, my friend, sort of a overmind of a Lovecraftian consciousness, right? That maybe, like Jennifer described when she called in earlier, maybe a consciousness in terms of a cosmic scale is not able to experience, well, anything carnal like we can. Like it can't eat, right? Like it can't have a delicious something. It can't have sex, right? It can't do things that really are one of those moments that make us human, right? When we do want to beat our chest and howl at the moon and think we can describe what it feels like to be immortal without even being immortal, right? We can imagine what it's like. And so as a result of all of those things, I think that, I don't know, there's a lot to it. And like I said, if I am sort of a sapling, a seedling, whatever, of this maybe larger overmind, this galactic consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, cosmic consciousness. Well, Arthur C. Clarke said in his book, and again, some have said that he was sort of tapped into the future, sort of like Philip K. Dick, and that maybe Philip K. Dick thought he saw the Matrix in different forms. But what about this next step of, instead of the Matrix, maybe it's a true reality, and the consciousness that we experience is not for us, it's for the larger entity. And so, again, back to what Jennifer was talking about previously as well, the thing about the Arthur C. Clarke book is that it does remove the element of choice, in that the aliens showed up, the benevolent aliens, right? Which, again, it seems to come up from time to time in the UFO communities and the alien experiencers and things like this, right? Like, I don't know, like Bledsoe, right? That guy and his family. Like that dude says, he swears that the aliens aren't here to hurt us, right? All the experiences they've had seem to signify that that there's a larger something at play, and whatever's out there likes us, and they want to be part of this and not trick us into something else. There's nothing malevolent about the aliens, aliens themselves. But I don't know. What do you think? I think that's the weirdness of all this, is that clearly it's like when you're on a Ouija board, right? Like, let's say you contact something or somebody or whatever, and they tell you, "Hey, Mike, I'm your friend," right? Are you my friend? Yes, right? Do you want what's best for me? Yes. Well, surely a benevolent individual would tell you that, but so would the malevolent individual, wouldn't it? Because they wouldn't want to tip their hand and tell you, I'm the demon of Christmas past and I'm here to take you down. They're not going to tell you that shit. The malevolent individual will play like they're the angel on your shoulder, and they're not. So I don't know. I think removing that choice, our own choice, and our own mistakes, I think it's an interesting concept, and pretty wild stuff. Pretty wild stuff. There you go. There you go. Derek's got it right. Would the giant psychic squid at the center of the galaxy count as an overmind, or are we talking consciousness itself? I think we're talking both. I think we're talking in all those terms. I think that's the weirdness. Robert over on Rockband says, now I want a Whitman sampler. I'll go out tomorrow and buy a box. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Sorry again for your loss, man. It, like I said, it's an interesting thing, life, in that, and I'm not making light of this. I mean that, you know, the younger generation has it all figured out, right? And that's because people around them that they've known forever, mentors and friends and family, haven't started kicking the bucket yet. You know, once those things start to happen, things change. You start to see life a lot differently, right? And yeah, so once again, sorry for your loss, Robert. That's terrible. So let's see, what do we got? Anybody hopping in here? I got more to talk about, but just doing our thing. As you know, right? I threatened it earlier. If you're going to make me quit early, I'll quit early. I copy that, Derek. Go ahead and wake up, man. Grab yourself some coffee or whatever you got to do. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff here. I don't know. There's a lot to considering this, and I love it. I absolutely love it, because that's what this is about, right? So let's go back to some more of this. Let's go to some more Walt Whitman. Let's go to this. There's tons here. Here's another one. How about be curious, not judgmental, right? That's pretty good. That could be a fantastic t-shirt. How about this? This is another one from Walt Whitman. Every moment of light and dark is a miracle. There you go. How about this one? Stranger, if you passing meet me and desire to speak to me, why should you not speak to me? And why should I not speak to you? It sounds like a chill dude. It sounds like somebody that is unafraid. It sounds like somebody I would probably have liked. Of course, Walt Whitman has passed away. He was a poet, author a long time ago. But the thing is, right, do you think he belongs in the echelon of Buddha and Jesus as described by this study? Or do you think that level of maybe enlightenment can be achieved by mere mortals? You tell me. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubleminds.org. Click the Discord link, and what do I got? What do I got here? Let's play this, because it seems like the phone lines are dead, and you guys are just kicking back and listening to me. Then I'm going to play this thing. Oh, shit, we got some calls. Holy shit, I'm sorry, guys. We've got calls. Let's go to... sorry about that. I'm not going to play some clips. I'm going to go to... I see you guys. All right, so we'll get to you. Let's go to Matt in California. Matt! No, sorry, wait. This is not Matt. Robert in Pennsylvania. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm sitting here laughing.
Are you?
You're about to end the show because you're not getting the calls, and there's 3 people
exactly
calling here.
And Derek about to call as well. Call me stupid. Just again, hey, there's only one of me. I don't have a board operator and a call screener, and I gotta think everything on the fly. And hey, man, it's easier. It looks easier on TV. Everything looks easier on TV. Thank you for calling, my friend. I'm sorry for your loss. Like I said, if only we had the frivolity of the younger generation and didn't have to experience loss. I'm sorry about the loss of your mentor. It's always a tough thing. Thank you for sharing that with us, and welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend?
I'm fine. Yeah, she was only 51 years old. but she had health problems, and she was back and forth from. She was when you reach that stage where you're rushed to the hospital, you spend a week or two in there, and then you're sent home, and then almost, within a day or so, sent back, and it keeps going back and forth like that, like a revolving door. You're traveling to the exit to get off the road, and that's what I saw that coming for the last few weeks, and well, in any event, this galactic overmind. All right, for one thing, I think galactic is not the right word, because that would limit the overmind to this galaxy. All right, the overmind is over everything. All right, and I've read this theory a long time ago, and it's a common theory that this thing that was just the only thing in the darkness there was nothing there, and it just kind of like rolling around in the darkness, kind of bored, and decided to blow himself up into like billions of souls. All right, just to experience something, to get to kill the boredom. All right, and we are that. And the idea that overmind is limited to the creatures of this planet is pathetic. All right, if he created the whole thing, he created every creature that's throughout the universe and the many other universes that exists. Is there a link, a consciousness link to it? Of course there is. All right, but that's why we go through these, life and death cycles, reincarnation, because it wants to experience everything. All right, and there can be a trillion people or creatures, and he's experiencing it all at once. All right, and once we have given all the experiences throughout our incarnations that that we can possibly achieve, then we go back there permanently. We go back and we reconnect, become part of what of that overmind, the thing that always was there before we were there.
Right.
That's what I read somewhere.
Right. So there's got to be something that came before us, right? It's basically we're talking about creation sort of again, right? Just in a different context, in the context of not maybe like a soul creation, reincarnation, that sort of thing, but more of a, well, do we share a consciousness with that creator, right? I think so. It's again, like always, right? We're always kind of barking at like the biggest questions here on this show, and that's fine. I'm unafraid of those conversations, but I think it's complicated, isn't it? It's not as easy as just pointing at the stars and saying, well, that's God, right? Like maybe, but also
really
maybe
isn't.
not.
It really isn't complicated at all. All right, because the profound truth of the matter is that we are shed from him, her, whatever pronoun you want to use for the thing. All right, it means that we are that overmind. We are the conscious of that overmind. All right, just scattered about in trillions and trillions of different living, physical living things. All right, for to be experienced. We are that. All right? It's just that, we can't know that. We realize these things when we're up until we're about 5 years old. you have to navigate this when you're born. You have to navigate this physical reality. You're a soul that's come into a physical reality, so you have to, keep the memory up till you're about 4 or 5 years old, just to be able to get your sea legs. It's just after you reached about the age of 5 that you start that, and the pressures of your parents and society, that you gradually lose the memory of where you came from. When people die, they experience this enormous light, and they always say the same thing: it is pure love. Pure love, all right? It's something like you can't even put into words. It's not, we have love on this earth, but it's a million times more than whatever that is. Everybody says that. That's what they experience. And it's because you're coming back to the source. And, well, I'm probably going off on a tangent on this, but I just want to make a point that the Galactic Overmind, that Galactic that shouldn't be there. It should be simply the Overmind, over the Overlord or whatever, but Galactic limits it to this galaxy, and it's far, far more than that.
Yeah, cosmic Overmind is the term. Cosmic consciousness.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Sure, and we all have it. And you've got 2 or 3 more people there on ready to call in and get to keep this show going.
I saw
get
that.
Off and let them have their turn.
I saw that.
Okay.
Robert, you're the best. Thank you so much for kicking in when I asked for it. Thanks for all your enthusiasm. Thanks for all that you do for me, for Troubled Minds, for the community, for the group. God bless you and the family. Happy Friday. Happy Troubled Minds Friday. You're the best, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
And Happy New Year to you, Mike.
Thank you, my friend.
I hope this new year, I hope you prosper. Your prosperity just grows and grows and grows.
Thank you. By the way, before you go, remember about 2.5 months ago or so, you had a prediction for Troubled Minds. Do you remember this? And we were talking about it, and you said something in the effect of, first you said, Troubled Minds is going to have, we're going to manifest this future, and Troubled Minds is going to have 5,000 followers on Rockfin by the end of the year. And then you went, wait, 2,000 followers by the end of the year, because we were at like 600 or something at the point, right? Well, you were close, because we're close to 2,000 followers over there. It's like 17.
Well, actually, I remember it well.
Okay.
And I said 1,000.
2. You said 5, then you said 2. I've got a fantastic memory. The one thing I basically, I'm a knucklehead, but I have a very good memory, my friend. Don't make me pull the tape. But in any case,
I said 2,000.
2,000.
Even I wouldn't have believed you'd got 2,000 by the end of the.
Well, no, we're almost there. Almost there. So
yes, you are. I saw that.
You were close.
I saw that. Yes.
You were close.
Yeah. And I keep track of that. I really do. All right. Each day to see just how much you've grown, and you're averaging anywhere between 6 to 8 additional subscribers each day.
Just on Rockfin.
If that continues to hold, imagine what you're going to have by the end of this year.
Yeah. It's not even, that's not talking the podcast feed, that's not talking YouTube, that's not talking DLive, that's not talking Twitter, that's not talking the radio. None of that. That's just that. Dude, it's booming. So thank you so much again.
And you know why?
Why is that?
You know why? Let me tell you why.
Let's go ahead.
It's because you're not doing a generic podcast. All right, you're picking these unusual topics, all right, that still stay within the frame of the psychic, all right, but you're picking these unusual questions, these unusual topics that nobody else is doing. And that's bringing people, people, word of mouth, whatever, it's bringing people here.
I like it. Well, this is the stuff that interests me. I'm listening. Yeah, this is the stuff that interests me.
Well, it's just that you're not a formula. All right? You're not, all UFOs, all men in black, all ghosts. All right. I haven't seen a generic topics that you've broadcast in a long time. All right. You in the beginning you were doing a lot of the abominable snowman and UFOs and stuff. But you've cornered this. You decided you're going to go and you're going to talk about things that nobody else talks about. Everybody talks about UFOs. Everybody talks about the Yeti. Everybody talks about those types of things. But almost every topic is different from any of those others, and I find that fascinating. All right, that's
so
probably why you got so many listeners, and it's growing so fast. I'm going to get off the air because you got some other callers. But God bless you, Mike. Talk to you later.
You too, brother. Have a great night. That's Robert Aren, and you can find his book. He's an author. He writes. He's got a book called "Stories from a Fractured Mind," and he just said his mentor passed away recently, like he just described, and a writing mentor. So do check out his book if you're interested. If you're looking for something to read and you just don't know, like I said, I've got through most of it myself, and it's pretty good. I think he does a pretty good Rod Serling meets Philip K. Dick-ish sort of thing. It's pretty good stuff. Short stories, and it's amazing. All right, so we got more calls. Hang tight, guys. I see you there. I see Night Stalker. We're going to go to him shortly after Matt. Then Rohan's next after that. So we got ask and you shall receive. Rohan said it in the thing in the chat. He's like, see what you get. Here's what you get, Mike. Don't test us. Everybody jumps in. Let's go to Matt in California. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you? What's going on, my man?
Good, Mike. Yeah, great show tonight.
Thank you. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this cosmic consciousness?
Yeah, lots of good stuff. I'll talk about that. But I want to talk about in consciousness. I want to talk about reality maps. There's things called reality maps, and these maps of like different kinds of consciousness. And the thing is, they're just maps. That's what they are. They're not absolutes. They're not 100%. They're just maps for you to try to figure your way out to guide you. And so some of these different maps, like there's different ones, like the shamanic tree of life has the upper world, the middle world, the lower world. The Kabbalic tree of life has all the 10 different, sephiroths. And then there's also and this one is based off of your chakras. So your chakras, we're multidimensional beings. We're existing in different places at the same time, overlapped. And each chakra goes off of that. So you start off with it's like layers. So you start off with the physical world. So the physical is everything we see, everything we are part of. Then it goes out of that. It goes to the etheric, the astral, which is your astral body, the emotional, which is your emotions, your emotional body, the mental, the psychic, and the divine. So those are 7 different layers of yourself existing. That means there's 7 different consciousness of yourself existing. And so where I'm going with it is, and talking about like as above, so below. So if I can create I have my consciousness. If I can dream, that's me dreaming on the astral level, which also means that my astral body can dream or create another reality inside itself. So it's going down the microism, as above, so below. And then that also means that it can go up. So that means that we're in this reality, that there could be a consciousness creating all of us. And that also means that that consciousness is in a reality, that there's a bigger consciousness than that creating that. You see where I'm going?
Yeah, right. But how big does that cycle go? Like right? As above, so below, right? So the fractal's high, the fractal's low. Well, as above, so below. so how big does it get, right? At some point, there's got to be like a source, right?
Yeah, like a loop. I don't know. It could be infinite.
Interesting. So maybe there isn't a source. Maybe the source is ourselves looped back through that infinite cycle.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know the answers. I'm just kind of, we're here in this world. We're just trying to, we're trying to map it out ourselves. We're trying to figure it out ourselves. And each person, is different. We're on different levels of knowing and learning. And so I think that's where it goes is, we're all just trying to figure this out. But I also talk a lot about times is some of this stuff is a mystery. And I don't think we're supposed to figure it out until we learn. How they say, Earth is a school. We're supposed to learn things here. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, definitely. As part of the, it's sort of like the proving grounds, right? Like you drop the souls here and let them bounce against each other like a bad game of billiards, and like some people like love the conflict and the damage and the things they can do, and some people don't. Some people want to say, no, let's not do that, right? It's a sort of that proving ground to maybe the next step in that ascension process, right?
Yeah, it's like in reincarnations, talking about like, this you're in a school, so you're supposed to learn, and then like if you don't learn, that's what reincarnation is about. Like you didn't learn, now you're gonna go backwards. But if you learned, to be a good person and all that, then maybe your next life you'll be up higher on the ladder.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that too. It almost feels that way, doesn't it? Like I think, in those quietest of quiet moments, it almost feels like that is why we're here, right? Like there is an end to that game, right? But I don't know. Again, conquering the self, right? Conquering the ego, conquering the challenges. Again, right? We have the real life flesh and blood challenges too. Like there's a ton. We are juggling a ton constantly as people, and that's what makes people amazing, right? And again, I'm a fan of people as much as this is called Troubled Minds and all the rest of that. And I talk about propaganda and all this shit stuff in the world. Well, there's also, for every shit thing in the world, there's also something very beautiful, and I think we're part of that. And that's what this is about, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because it is a really deep topic, really deep conversation. There's a lot there.
Yeah, for sure. So
I just kind of bounce that idea.
Yeah, good stuff.
Being like forever a consciousness higher and a consciousness lower.
I love it. So maybe there is an infinite loop, and maybe it traces back to ourselves. Maybe we're the center of that conscious loop. That's the craziest part, right? Yeah. Maybe we are that center and we don't realize it. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. What else you got for us, my man?
That's gonna be it for tonight. I'll hear everybody else.
All right, perfect.
Thank you guys.
Matt in California, you're the best, my friend. Look forward to seeing you. You still gonna be in Vegas at the end of the month?
Yeah, we'll have a beer.
Yeah, all right. Let me know. I just double checked the dates to make sure I didn't blow by it. I'll see you then. Always a pleasure. You're the best, Matt. Talk to you soon.
All right, Mike. Thanks.
Thanks. Have a great night. Appreciate the call. Good stuff. Matt in California. Great calls as always on this show. That's what we do. 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the phone. Easy peasy as that. Let's do the double dip. We're gonna double dip here because we got two guys been waiting for a while now. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts, and let's go to the famous Liam Martin, the mighty Rohan. These guys know each other. Let's what's up, guys? How are you doing? How you guys doing?
Yo, we tag teaming it? Are we tag teaming right now?
Let's tag team the shit out of this. Why not? You've both been waiting a while, so let's just jump straight to it. How you doing?
Here we go. Oh, good. I'm just waking up, so Rohan might need to take the lead a little bit on this. I'm trying to figure out where we're going with the Overmind idea. I have some takes on like the idea of the neutral monad and like the kind of the one above all and that kind of idea. If you want to go that route, or
whatever you got. Maybe whatever you got.
All right,
no problem.
Rohan, you go first for a second. Let me see what you're talking about, and then maybe that'll jog my mind a little.
Yeah, no, it's not. You got me okay, Mike?
Yeah, do that voice meter reset. But otherwise you should be good. See?
All right.
Tech support from across the pond. It'll just take a second. Again, right? Like when I've broken everything every way it can be broken. Like I just know from listening how to fix shit.
What about that? Is that any better?
Sounds good.
That's perfect. See? Did it work?
Click. Yeah, exactly what you said. Yeah, 5-second reboot. There you go.
Boom! Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Well, Matt jumps in with something great there, and he explained them 7 layers, because I was going to mention that come from a completely different place, a different source, and he's been mentioned the layers. So that was really good. So the 7 layers, I really liked that. That's where the lucky number 7 comes from, and I got that from the original Billy Meyer contact notes. Randolph Winters went and lived with him for a bit, and really did a good study before they started up, and it kind of started looking like a cult. But yeah, those Bajorans or Pleiadians, whatever, supposed to be from another universe. They said there's 7 layers to it, and this takes us. Well, actually, it goes back to what Robert was saying as well. Saying it's galactic or even cosmic, that's not enough. It's far beyond that. Because they were talking that, this goes beyond Doctor Strange and the multiverse, man. So, hold on. Because they were saying that this universe is a creational universe, right? And we all heard that, a creational, okay, co-creators. And they're saying creational universes are actually created by a completely different type of universe. You got that called an OR universe, UR, okay, an OR universe. And they pump out creational universes. So we've got the multiverses could just be creational universes, right? But then you got these other universes. Maybe it's just one. This pumps them out, or many. This pumps out all these creational universes. So you've got an OR universe. But then where do they come from? Well, the aliens say they come from a third type of universe called a central universe, and nobody really knows what it is. But then there's a kind of what they call a central sun in it. So I found that really interesting from Matt. And then the fractal thing as well, it's like going up. Not only is it like you say, you can go up with your vibration and down with your vibration, but there's these other levels as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Completely outside of that. So I thought that was interesting. Another thing that got me when he mentions the vibration, if you think about when something's dense, okay, as something gets denser, it kind of like warps space-time, right? Yeah, so the more dense it is, the more you get in this warp, in this so-called, we think of it as a fabric, but so if you it's probably more 3D, but if you think of it as a classical fabric, if you get something that's heavy in a fabric, it will stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. And I think of it like a black hole, you know what I'm saying? So it stretches and stretches and stretches, and I think there comes a point where it just snaps. Do you know what I'm saying? It separates. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's sort of what happens. I think that's a natural regulating system. That's how I think of it. Because if it's almost like defragmenting your hard drive, and I think we're kind of going through that process now. Everyone likes to say the choice thing that Jennifer brings up is so brilliant, and that was prominent with the architect. When Neo meets the architect in the Matrix, they're saying the problem is choice. Okay, so if you choose to stay there, you choose to, and like you've mentioned yourself, Mike, it's vital. That choice thing is vital, And so if you imagine, if you want to stay in that low vibration, like I say, for whatever reason, okay, maybe you want shortcuts to stuff like the dark side or whatever, I think eventually there comes a point where it has to break off. And then they'll be then in a realm where that suits them, an environment that suits them. Maybe create a kind of hellish realm, but they think of it as a utopia. I don't know. But so that thought gets me thinking. I'm not saying that black holes at the other end there's like an evil planet. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it. It just seems to kind of snap off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And this idea of sin as well. That comes up in there's a book by a guy called Neil Welsh called Conversations with God, and it's available on YouTube as an audiobook. And in that, this guy thinks he's having conversations with God, so he keeps testing it. But the way this guy talks back to him, it's like a voice in his head, a literal one. But the way he talks back to him, it really sounds like sensible stuff. Do you know what I mean? I don't know who it is, but this is really sensible stuff. And this supposed God character, when he talks about sin to it, and he's like, no. He says, no, there's no sin. God says there's no sin. He says, no, there's no judgment on this. It's more like, he tries to explain it to him like, think about it as if you're children. Yeah. And I'm saying, go outside and play. And I really don't give a shit what game you play. As long as you're out there playing, as long as you're out there in the sunshine, go and get some fresh air, go and play a game. You know what I'm saying? Don't care if you're playing cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians or hopscotch or, dobby off ground or baseball. I don't care. As long as you're participating, right? As long as you're taking part. Yeah, and I think ultimately that's what it's for. And you mentioned, Mike, that it needs us. So it circles back around to you. You said it seems to need us. Okay, and I think it does, because there's this quote that comes from somewhere that it says we exist to prevent God going mad through loneliness and boredom.
Yeah, right. Like Jennifer was saying too, it's like you can't have both at the same time. You can't have that sort of that cosmic ascension and be at one with that source, whatever the source is, whatever this cosmic consciousness we're talking about is. It can't experience the universe through the carnal, right, flesh and blood, these meat puppet hands, and again eating something delicious and having a beautiful day in the sun, and like experiencing spring for the first time and having sex and all these things. It can't do those things because it's not us. It's not the meat puppets. As deficient as the meat puppet may be, it's also divine in the sense that we can do all those things. It seems like that may be the case, right?
I think
it might be like the.
No, go ahead.
Like we might be just like a tendril of whatever the source is. Like that's my favorite idea for what an overmind might be. What like the one above all as like the neutral monad. So just take whatever phenomena you can think of, whatever as many tiers of consciousness as you can possibly list off, as far as like from big to small, and just basically just draw a big circle around it, and that's the neutral monad. That everything will be included in this, just as a way for consciousness to experience itself. That's kind of like what Robert was saying, was that it's the whole point of us like doing everything. That I'm not like, as far as like a school is concerned, I'm not sure if it's about us potentially like graduating through the hierarchy of that school, rather than just the consciousness itself, the monad itself, experiencing infinite levels through us. Like, I don't know if it requires us to change as much as it requires itself to just have infinite vessels to experience all different aspects of it. So if there is any like growth from our perspective, it's more complexity growth, but in reality, all events have happened at one point anyway. So basically, it's just this overmind navigating the shape of itself, like navigating itself, and we just see it as like a complexity increasing. Like, I think you're going to talk about this part, Rohan, about how McKenna thinks that the singularity or whatever, this moment that is we're all going to, he calls like the transcendental moment at the end of time. This point where infinite complexity meets perfect harmony. It's like where it gets a vantage point of the whole shape, kind of where it experiences everything, and that's kind of like the completion of whatever this is, So like underneath that, within that's why I asked the question about where does this giant squid overmind, like this galactic squid, where does it fall in what we're talking about tonight? Because under this neutral monad, there's infinite tiers. So like the Abrahamic God would be like that's one tier. That's the demiurge. If you believe in Gnosticism, that's the overmind of this one particular realm that we're in right now. If that's what you describe, I subscribe to. But above that, there might be another God form or something like that that's navigating or that's controlling whatever realm this demiurge built his realm in. And it keep going out and out and out. Honestly, for as far as you want to try to stretch your mind, because all is allowed in this. And then just basically draw a circle around it, and that's the monad, and it's just all included in the all. The trippy idea, but it allows for everything and takes away judgment from it, because it wants good stuff and it wants bad stuff. It wants infinite stuff. Everything you can possibly think of would be in line for the experience. Does that fit with tonight's show, or is that just nonsense talk?
No, that's right in the vein. That's the whole point, right? It's like so it's multiple levels of consciousness, and again, so many people with so many great takes tonight, as always, right? Like kind of blowing up the brain in 22 different directions, and so we've got like the beauty of the choice, right? We've got so again, I think that's part of maybe what you're talking about. So what is the monad? Is that the same thing we're talking about here? Of like a maybe, let's say, the most primordial creator. And I don't want to talk in terms of God or religion or dogma or anything like that, but whatever that is that what the monad is? Can you define that for me?
It's everything. It's like, so it's if you use that Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon record label, it's the white light, and then we're each individual prism, each experiencer, each like vessel that is like experiencing the universe experiencing the monad, that white light is the triangle, and then our experience, our reality would be like the rainbow that shoots out from us. So essentially, it's when they talk about how like the universe looks like a neuron firing. It's like the same. That's kind of what the neurons would be. The monads neurons. It's the totality of everything. So if there's like say there's like 4 primordial creatures that were formed at the beginning of the universe, that wouldn't be the monad. That would be like maybe just the top layer of its experience. So like it's when yeah, exactly, yeah. So when that one divided into 2 to create experience, like the duality, the one before, what it was before is the monad. So just, I don't know. I like it because it allows for literally any theory you can possibly think of, any type of God form or paranormal activity or strange consciousness phenomena. It's all allowed. You know, it doesn't exclude any type of theory, which makes it close to my heart. You know, I'm here for unifying all the weird together.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Bring me all the weird and bring it now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bring it now.
Weird. Feed me weird.
Exactly. Give me the weird.
Got your weird right here.
Exactly. Got your, see, there you go. There's the inside joke. If you guys haven't joined the Discord to kick it afterward, there's your inside joke. I got your weird right here. We also got Kelly in Colorado. Let's get him into the mix. What's up, Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly.
You're here with Mike, Derek, the Night Stalker, and the mighty Rohan. What's up, my brother? How are you?
Good evening, fellas. How you all doing?
Okay, sir.
What's happening, brother?
Go right ahead. What do you think, man? What about this monad and all the rest of this? Like we got all kinds of stuff. We got this the power of choice. We talked about sin tonight. We talked about Matt and the high and the low, and maybe it's a cyclical thing, and we're maybe the center of this. Who knows, bro? What's your take?
All right.
He's like, everybody settle in. Get it, brother, get it.
This one hurts this makes me, you know, this is where you just have these deep thoughts, right? So I like, one second, I'm ready to die after the plug.
Okay, stay close to the mic, please. That's the only time you cut out. Just get close and get in there, snuggle in, man. Touch that to your lips.
Okay,
tasty.
So I like what he's so far, but for consciousness, I have I don't know. There's 2 different things I go with that, with like the whole cosmos, right? So scientists believe that like everything, there's theories of the whole cosmos is alive, right? So the whole expansion, retraction, and things like that's like breathing, right? So. You know, and everything's like, you know, it cleans up itself. It has black holes, you know, it like it's like, so that black holes could be like it could be like like say people say that you go to different universes or different parts, like for a reincarnation, perhaps, right? So if you're doing that, black holes are the vacuums to say, all right, this part of the universe needs to be cleaned up. You know, it failed. You know, it failed to complete its task, or maybe it did complete its task. You know, and then it starts over into another parallel universe or a different universe, right? So if that's the whole thing, and some people believe, you know, there's some theories that it's a computer system, right? Maybe the thing that everybody or every creature, it seems like, or like, you know, let's say, you know, different civilizations that, you know, come and go here, right? Because we obviously see them throughout, you know, through time and now through photographs and video. But maybe we are like, you know, the Agent Smith in the Matrix, that we're the virus, right? Or the Trojan, the worm, the bot, you know, and that we, and with that, you know, that's the whole choice thing, that we're able to have that. And, you know, instead of being part of the computer system, we're the glitch, you know, that we're the ones that have that choice, right? We can do, you know, we can have it either, you know, bad or good, but most people are looking for the light, because that's what, you know, that's the love that that everybody searches for. You know, you've heard in different religions here on this planet. You know, let's if you really think about how this, you know, how, you know, the whole question, right, of who we are, you know, all that shit. But to think it in a cosmic way like that, I believe, I don't know, man. I don't like to tend to think that, you know, we're part of a, you know, a subsystem of, you know, like a computer system or a thought or a program or some shit like that. Because, you know, that's what, I don't know, like the whole choice thing. Maybe that's the whole thing that everybody else is after, that, you know, trying to obtain themselves.
Yeah. That's cool. I, like when it comes to choice and like our freedom of choice, I kind of like too. I bump up against that too. I don't like the idea of my choices are my own and my free will isn't my own. But under the paradigm of infinite choice, like infinite possible realities, then there's like a trajectory, kind of like a way that you're kind of navigating your potential events. But with infinite possibilities, then you have free will. You can choose any of these realities to experience, you know? So like kind of destiny might be like your karma, might be your trajectory, how you're like sliding down the hill of the cosmos, kind of, just for a visual. But you have free choice by able to choose any type of infinite possible realities. And maybe like deja vu, or these like synchronistic feelings you get, is when you're aligning to something more positive, like this, like that loving awareness that Robert was calling about earlier. Like Ram Dass and Bhakti Yoga and stuff, they believe that the source is called, like they call it loving awareness. And that like that's what you get into when you get into these like meditative states. You get closer to the source, you know. But under monism, it's just like a primal force, honestly, and like the one more neutral.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rohan, anything on that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We could carry on. I'm stuck in black. I'm in a black hole at the minute. I'm thinking about black holes
just so you gentlemen know, you guys are welcome as long as you like, and we got plenty of time. It's Friday night for me because No Trouble Mine's tomorrow, so we'll go as long as we need. So just to let you know, if you're trying to hem for brevity, carry on, my wayward sons. Go right ahead.
Okay, so black holes. Okay. Black holes have a natural regulating mechanism. Okay. So the more stellar matter gets close to a black hole and gets sucked into it, it will suck it in, but then it will relieve a bit of mass. So then it can spin faster. So it's, I don't know if it's exactly right, but it's something like it, because there's a certain spin speed, and it will suck in some of the matter, and then it can't like reach it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just like Kelly says, it really does. It just kind of clean up stellar matter close to it. See, when I was growing up and you first talk about black holes in the 80s and stuff, it was always sold to me, at least, they were like this incredibly scary thing that just eats everything, you know, and you're like unstoppable and you don't know what it is and stuff. But no, it doesn't. Then they can do it for so long, and then it can't quite reach the stellar matter. Do you know what I'm saying? All right. And at the same time, I've seen a documentary where there was a theory saying that it seems most likely that black holes were here first. Okay, and they helped to then bring matter into the universe to then create stars, which kind of makes sense as why they're sort of in the middle. And like I say, we've got this sort of, you know, pop culture impression that they keep eating things and nothing can escape. Oh my God, it's just, but that's not true. Things do come out of black holes. Absolutely, they do. And I remember seeing a story where they say some light came out of a black hole. Like, I don't know what it was. Something came out. And I know that high frequency gamma rays can get out. Do you know what I'm saying? And also, there's this. Yeah, you've heard it, haven't you? You've heard that.
There's a concept of a white hole on the other side. So if you have the duality, again, back to that duality of creation, the whole thing, right? So if you have the black hole sucking everything in, like I said, gamma rays are escaping, but on the other side, you got a white hole that's doing what? The opposite. It's trying to punch shit through the other side. I don't know, man. Like back to the Higgs field and like, energy becoming matter and all. I mean, there's all kinds of whack shit out there in the universe. It's like, wait, what the fuck? Like, how is this even like real? This doesn't seem like it's even possible. But I mean, we're just meat puppets. What the fuck do we know?
Well, how about this then, right? Well, how about this? This, I think. Well, I've got a potential explanation as to why it seems what the hell sort of thing. Oh, we're off here now, aren't we? What the fuck? Yeah, because you see, physicists are looking through big telescopes at stuff really far away, right? And we've talked about, and it's coming up now in science, having to admit, well, it looks like it's all made of consciousness. Okay, so if we're co-creators, if it's a creational universe, and your thinking, your consciousness can manifest things, then what's to say the laws of physics in a galaxy 5 galaxies over is going to be the same? Because if they got a different consciousness there, yeah, then they're thinking different, and they got different belief systems, then they can do different stuff to us. Do you know what I'm saying? Potentially. But it's still covered in the whole smorgasbord of the beyond the mutant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we're seeing funky things that seem impossible. But if you go there, you probably figure out, this is why. You go and ask them. So no, it's because of this, this, and this. Then you find out about their belief system, and now it's in your head. Now you're like, oh yeah, it can work. We just didn't realise. And I'm sure Einstein said impossible is only impossible under a certain set of conditions. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like functionarily, like that would fit underneath the trying to have infinite experiences. Like if it's just one trying to experience every possible angle of itself, then it would maybe divide itself into separate universes under a multiverse, so it could experience those different laws of physics. Let me experience one universe where we have like these Newtonian physics, or maybe this is a universe where we can actually create stuff. Maybe there's an exact opposite universe where what would happen if everything it just starts decaying, where there's a universe that's led completely by destruction, and it has everything in between. It wants to get every vantage point of every possible different potentiality. It's like whatever these multiversal trees we're talking about, these like stacked up reality potentialities that we talk about in the multiverse. Like that's what the monad will be trying to experience. It wants all of those. So any possible way you can wrap your head around it. Like, I don't know. It's almost like he's using us, or it's using us as some type of novelty creators. If we are in some type of creationary universe, like our ideas are something for it to create, for it to experience. I don't know. It's trippy. You don't really like. It's more philosophical than anything else. Like the monad idea, but like, which is why I like the squid, the giant cosmic squid overmind as like a potential. There might be AI overminds that are like actively interfering with our reality and our trajectory as a species. If you want to like kind of zoom in a little more on one specific overmind, like,
Yeah, I like the sound of that because, like I say, if a bunch of people have chosen, we talk about choice, have chosen to be on this like low vibration, okay, then that's talking like back to that destruction will. Saying like the black hole could split off and then it puts the like defragmenting your hard drive. So okay, you want to be low vibration, but the rest of it wants to not be. So we'll have to separate you two. You go and live on hard drive D, and we'll go on to hard drive F now. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And and also like if you've got this, let's say the transcendental object or the Alfred North Whitehead, the concrescence sort of at the end of time. Yeah. So let's say 50,000 years in time ahead of us, pulling us forward. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to pull things and push things, sort of thing. So if you've got that, then that means that at least this thing we're in is constantly looking to be ever more complex, ever more interconnected, ever more dense. Exactly. Okay, so then we think about it's coming to completion, to oneness, to back to God, but I don't think you ever get there. Exactly. Because then it would end, right? So what out, and plus you get different standards, don't you? So what we might think as being completely whole is only from our concepts as people that's been oppressed like crazy. So our sense of like harmony and perfection is probably nowhere near what you can actually reach. Exactly. And I would presume that if, let's say me as an individual in so many million years have evolved enough so I can become something more than this, and maybe I become a star, right? And then maybe I become a galaxy, and then maybe I become an entire creational universe. So I essentially get to meet God, right? And I go, wow, I met God. And God's like, no, I'm not God. I'm not God.
He's like, you dirty heathen. I'm not even close to God. Get back to God, you dirty heathen. I ain't it.
And it's like, now you got the job now. So you come do this for a bit. You're going to be God, if you will, for a bit. And I'm going off to go and do something else now, hoping to reach that God. And I would also expect this as well. Let's say there are 11 dimensions. If there's a species out there or some entities out there, so whatever, that's about to reach the peak of 11 dimensions and master that, then you can bet your bottom dollar the overall God force is going, oh, here we go then, better create a 12th dimension based on all this stuff that we've now got. Because imagine how much metadata God's got to work with.
Ask Mark Zuckerberg. Oh shit. That's a terrifying thought. Kelly, you've been quiet. Takes on that stuff?
Yeah, man. I was just gonna say, like, if it's not a system that's gonna be all right. Let's say if it is a system, right? It's not just one program. It could be, re-loop itself. Play it over, looking for something. Maybe something that they missed, or maybe something.
Oh wow.
And seeing that, and I don't like the whole thing of like one single being that's controlling everything. That's all out there. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's I don't know, man.
There's no control with the monad though. Like the monad, it's neutral. It's neutral monism. So there's no. It doesn't anything that's like guiding us in any type of direction would not be the monad. That would be some type of God form or something like that beneath it. The monad is just the totality. So it allows for. It has no impact on your life at all. Like it's not what's guiding. Like any type of destiny or any type of like, I don't know, higher power that you think is guiding you would not be considered the monad. It would be just a God form, a lower tier, I guess. Not in a bad way, but just
the Titans. Back to the Titans.
The Titans, yeah. Or even to take it to the Galactic Squid Overmind. Like, what if there is some type of AI, just in a way we can picture it, like just as with time included, that is trying to like spread across and could like populate the entire universe. We talked about how maybe it would send out these like panspermic waves. But as these things are like popping up, new life is popping up on closer disks, closer areas to where the life actually starts to spread out. They would form faster, so they would be like more advanced than we are, and maybe their function would be some type of like intermediary or like intervener, like maybe everything that we're coming in contact with, like different levels of alien life, different levels of consciousness, are all just like higher along on whatever this cosmic scale is, but still trying to like work to create this complexity that you were talking about, Rohan, was like transcendental object at the end of time. That like the Overmind might be trying to like coax us into, or not, like, I don't know, I'm rambling, sorry. It's a tough idea to wrap your head around, it's tough to talk about. Sorry.
You're good, man. Listen, this is the thing, right? I was actually talking to my wife last night. She was listening to you on the Ryan Gable show last night. We were both listening.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. and she's like, why does he do that? I'm gonna do what? She's like, say he's rambling. She's like, him rambling, like he thinks he's rambling is like brilliant. We're like, just keep talking, bro. Like we're hanging on every word, and you're like, why am I rambling? We're like, no, don't stop.
On a TED Talk, wouldn't you, Derek?
She said that to me. I was like, and I told her, I said, he gets nervous, and it's okay, right? It's okay. Yeah, it's all good. But just to let you know, right? That's from like, my wife doesn't listen to me because she has to listen to me most of the time, right? But she was listening because she knows Ryan Gable. She's listened to Ryan Gable for a long time with me. And then she knows you, and she was like, why does he do that? Well, I'm just telling you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Strange. I get afraid I'm tossing out too much word salad sometimes. I just get afraid that I'm getting lost in the sauce.
Have you fucking heard me? Jesus, man. My word salad sometimes is so deep I can't get out of it. It's
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Strange.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'll let her know you said it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, she doesn't listen to me, so she's not listening right now. but okay. Yeah, just you're fine, man. You're literally just if you got a thought, just roll with it, bro. You're brilliant, and we love listening. Absolutely, 100%. Takes on that book.
So,
go ahead,
Kelly. I cut you off, Kelly.
Kelly.
No, I was just listening to you guys. I was just thinking, 'cause that's the way I get too, man. Like, I'll get on a conversation, but in my head, I'm going in 3 different directions.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Kind of like that's where I feel like I'm rambling because I'll be in one story and then there's something that connects to that story, and I'll start going off that direction, and it's like I have to stop myself. You know what I mean? Or I'd be. Then that would take. It wouldn't even take enough to even have. I mean, we could probably sit here and go on for hours, man.
Yeah. What, do you know this show? Come on, Kelly.
Well, there's one other Overmind that, like, if you just say the word Overmind, my first thought is like from the sci-fi that I've read. There's the Overmind in a hive mind, like an Overmind in the Marvel universe. I think they call it Overmind. Is the Kree Overmind? They've collected the entire knowledge of all their smartest people, and they use it to like govern their planet, and it spreads out and it like takes over. It wants to take over the galaxy, and it becomes the Overmind of the galaxy. It keeps trying to spread out because it wants to become like the grand Overmind of the entire cosmos. So what if it is like instead of us being a tendril of some kind of higher consciousness? What if that's true? But what if there's also something else roaming around, some other type of like collection of consciousnesses that are forming a mind, like the reverse of it, and that's kind of like barreling through the cosmos, trying to like, I don't know. It would be a weird type of balance, like synergy, if everything is created by one thing, splitting like infinitely, and then a new Overmind at the end is formed from the collection of minds forming one Overmind. That almost seems like this weird balance, doesn't it? Like,
that sounds like a Borg or something.
Yeah, sounds like a Borg. Exactly.
When I think of like if using that word Overmind, right? For me, it'd be like something more of like the Force,
Yeah.
Like but you have the different types, like Jedi. There's like the white, the black, and the gray. Or I think right. So in each one, but the gray is the one that is actually the true Jedi that keeps balance between, because one sometimes they would go to one's head, and they would think that's where you tend to fall to the dark side or something. But for me, that's what I would think, like the Force. You know what I mean? Everything is all because and that type of stuff too. It's not that you can, when people say like different levels or something. I think you can complete that here on this planet, because you hear like the Buddhist monks that hit that rainbow, the rainbow thing.
Yeah.
Rainbow body.
Yeah. Body, right? So if they hit the rainbow body, that's total completion, right? They say when they do that, before they walk into this cave, they can either put their footprints or their handprints right through rock, like it's nothing, like that it's not there, like the Matrix, like you can just hand right through that shit. That's what I think when instead of because when it's a whole vast different way you can go, what I mean? Like, and this is what I guess science would call theories, I suppose.
Yeah, though real quick, scientifically, all that's legitimate. They say that if you're vibrating in a particular, the correct frequency, you could pass through solid objects, right? Like if the solid object, like very much like that, the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. I'm from California, so I know very much about it. They had that overpass that basically liquefied, and so it shouldn't, the actual tremor, the kinetic energy from the earthquake shouldn't have actually like broken that thing and like killed all those people. But what it was the resonance of the hum that liquefied the concrete, because it was exactly the right frequency to liquefy it and drop the overpass down on the people, right? Because if it was strong enough, it would have destroyed every overpass in the area, but it didn't. There was just one particular one that, like, the concrete build was exactly whatever solid matter versus the resonance of that hum or sound or whatever it was that caused that. I mean, that's all that shit is real. All that shit is science. That's real stuff, man.
Oh yeah. That's like what you could say, if you're going towards what Tesla would done, or even like the ancient Egyptians. When you look at those one stairs that like go down and they look like they're like liquefied, you can do that by sound. You ever seen people like when like people have those base cars and they look over to the right and and looking at the window and that fucking window is vibrating. Well, I'm surprised that shit ain't even snapped, but it's waving like a wave, But and that's all with vibration, frequency. You can do that shit, and it's very powerful. And I think that is, that's what Tesla even talks about, like those three things, and that's the makeup or the whole secrets of the universe.
Yeah, energy, frequency, and vibration. He said, right? Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Derek.
So like, where would these like monks and stuff go though after they get into their rainbow body? Like, and the Maharishi and stuff, they talk about like shedding your like physical coil. Like they just shed their body when they die. A lot of times they say they chose to leave their body, but are they going just back into the source, back into this overmind, or is there another layer that now they're existing in? Are they floating around as rainbow bodies now?
Yeah. I think the weird part too about all that stuff is, just real fast, and you guys carry on, is that we've talked about that duality. You said the monad is like that. That I saw the thing you posted in the Discord there. It's like the circle and the point in the middle, but it's still like yin yang. It's still the duality of creation back to the divine architect and the counter player that was described as Philip K. Dick. Exactly. But so the question is then, so as humans that are sort of stuck in this modal creation, whatever the fuck this thing is that we're in, whether you think it's a situation of actual like computer digital matrix shit, or whether this is like physical shit and there's like a more layer of spirituality in consciousness that basically takes the place of the computer code, right? It's the same thing. It's just describing it in different ways. But the question I have is which one of those is on our side, or are they both on our side, right? I think that's the question that disturbs me the most about those takes on that sort of thing, is like, wait, so do they love us or do they hate us, or do they need us, or we are basically what that yin and yang is pressing against so hard from both sides to create us, to make us, to give us that choice, right? Because if there was no choice, like Jennifer said previously, if there was no choice, this is a cosmic dictatorship. She didn't use that word, but like that's what this would be, right? So maybe that's what that yin and yang power is. It's pressing so hard on us, and that's why we feel the pressure of, right, like mental health issues and, right, like the fear, all the stuff, right? There's so many things that are just bad about being human, but in the same breath, there's so many things that are so sublime and amazing about being human. And maybe because we can experience both of those things, maybe they're both on our side. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
You know what Starman said in Jeff Bridges in Starman? You remember his famous quote at the end? He said, the best thing about humans is when things are at the worst, you're at your best. Resistance. That's how you grow. You need that to light down the gym. And I honestly think that it's all meant to. We can't complain about it, but I think it's all meant to be that way, so you don't have stagnation. Because the opposite side of the dictatorship is you get everything you want, everything you need. You know your place in the universe, this, that, and the other. You get fed everything. You wouldn't go anywhere. You wouldn't do anything. You just sit in your chair and do nothing. You wouldn't need to talk to anyone. You wouldn't need to do anything. If you were just being fed everything, it's pointless. Utterly stagnation. You know what I'm saying? And they kind of touch on that in the Matrix as well. So in the first Matrix was a perfect world, and your feeble minds couldn't accept it because you're evil, and it's not that. It's just that they don't understand the nature of reality. Do you know what I'm saying?
That low vibration shit right there.
Yep.
Yeah. And like when we're talking primal forces, it's tough to like put human morality on them. Like is a black hole evil because it's like sucking up everything in its path, or is it like a necessary function? Like I don't know, is like water that's eroding the ground, is it the enemy of the ground because it's like carrying it away? To just something to like, another path of water that's allowed through as like it then becomes like a river, like as it's allowed to like get past these rocks, it might create a whole new like trophic cascade, creating life all across this whole new region that was once a desert, because one point like 100 years ago it got like this piece of land got eroded by this powerful blast of water, you know. So like if you're trying to put human perspective onto that rock, and this water is like a terrifying Lovecraftian old one monster that's tearing away at its reality. But if you're the perspective of one of these flowers that are blooming like 100 miles down the path, that's now allowed to flourish because of the nutrients it got as the water got to pass through, you know, like it's tough to. I think these two forces are just creative forces, or like they're like entropy and atrophy, just two forces that are, like you said, Mike, the divine programmer and the dark adversary, or whatever. They're just a necessary push and pull, like the sine wave of the eons go up and down. You know?
Yeah, like we have to have it. You know what Anne Rice called that, actually, by the way? Anne Rice, in her amazing writings, called it the savage garden. That's what she called it.
The savage garden. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. And then you get into, and then I don't know. Then toss in. So if those are the two like primary forces, like the original. So if like the monad would be, you take the yin yang symbol, and then the circle around it would just be the monad, you know. But then if you keep going down and down and down, that would allow for more complexity, and then there would be more overminds that are created. It wouldn't be like the overmind, but they would be more like collections of consciousness that are then created as you go down, you know. So is our reality just a creation of one of these lesser minds, these lesser overminds, which essentially is what the Gnostics believe, that like if we are living in some type of simulation, you know, then like we do have an overmind of this simulation, but then there would be another overmind beyond that. Like, I don't know, if we are living in a simulation, is it the first one? If we escape the simulation, are we in the real world, or is it just another simulation? You know, it would be a pretty smart programming like decision to make Zion in the Matrix just the worst fucking place you can possibly imagine. This terrible place where you're eating slop and everything, because it would coerce the people to go back into the Matrix or not want to like hop out of this simulated world. So then what if you try to escape Zion? What if it's a more perfect world after you escape that? And it keeps going. Like, I don't know. It's the idea of infinity really like messes my head up. You know, it's
supposed to mess your head up. You can't put
infinity
into words. Patrick Moore said that. He said Einstein couldn't even answer that question because he asked him.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of maybe juice tonight. I'm liking it.
I dig the maybe juice for sure. We got a comment of the night. It took 3 hours plus, but we got a comment of the night. Ronald over on Rockfin says this: a black hole is akin to a cosmic Roomba. The Roomba of Doomba.
the Doomba.
The Roomba of Doomba. What's up, Ron?
I like it.
If you guys aren't on Rockfin, get your ass over there. You got the peanut gallery, always cracking jokes all night. And good shit. And by the way, if you watch this show on Rockfin, Michael Strange gets paid in crypto. So there you go. If you have the choice and it's all the same to you, Rockfin is the way to go. Yeah, amazing stuff. I don't know, like all of this, like when you start to consider, as always, right? I think the issue is it's not an issue. I think it's a blessing in that we're able to literally just get together and talk about the largest things ever, right? Literally, and I think the crazy part is so basically, Rohan, you just said that if the concept is too big, infinity is supposed to baffle us. So even though we can consider, like, we can consider multiple matrices, we can consider dream states, astral travel, astral projection, we can consider remote viewing, we can consider all of this, right? Like the multiverse, we can consider like all these worlds within worlds on top of worlds on top of worlds, the micro, the macro, in infinite directions. You're telling me infinity is supposed to baffle the human mind? I'm not confused yet. Well, at least
this is how you can't put it into words, isn't it? Because we're sort of not there, you know. Right. But I think that's the thing. But I think that's also part of the system, because what does that do? What does that do to us? It gets you wondering about it. It gets us talking. It gets us making podcasts. Curiosity. It's a driving force. You see. Yeah. What about this then, guys? What about this? Somebody mentioned how maybe our consciousness is it might have been a hydro hose actually. Maybe it is like person to person, like internet connection. Okay, maybe we'll have to be connected like on the same server, so the bit rate is high because we're all being used as little mini servers. Okay, and then you look at the Michelangelo painting the creation of Adam. Well, God's throne, or the background behind him, is his human brain, exactly the same shape. Okay. Right, so then we say, oh, God resides in you. Well, what about if we're doing that then? And we're talking about this overarching overlord squid kind of thing that you mentioned a few times, Night Stalker. Well, that means that the old ones live inside our heads, right?
Yes. There's like I just came across. I don't have it in front of me. But I just came across a quote like that. That they call them like exitory, or like not existential, but like it's like thoughtful, like mind forms, like psychological mind forms that exist outside of our mind, is like how it was described. It was like like it's crazy. It was true. I gotta find the quote. I'll find it when we get off. But essentially explaining what you just said, that there's like whatever these natural processes, like whatever these Jungian archetypes are talking about inside of our mind, they also exist, like within the Overmind's mind. So they would exist to us as creations of the Overmind, and we could interact with them. I don't know.
Yeah, I think when we think of things and we stretch outside of the box, I think it's like this. There's a video game called Mass Effect where it's a long story, but there's an AI machine that's sitting in between galaxies just waiting for 50,000 years, and is supposed to come and activate this space station to bring them all in and do a Thanos and wipe a bunch of people out to regulate life. But I think of it, these old ones then, say they're part of our consciousness. I think they sit just outside of it on the border. And it's not that they're waiting to get in like an army. It's that this happens for me. This is how my thinking works, and I've monitored my process most of my life for loads of reasons. And I think what it is that when you go outside of the box with this stuff, when you use your curiosity, when you use your creativity, when you go for it, it's like if your consciousness is a balloon. If you squeeze one part of it, it kind of balloons out just in that bit, a leg shape, and ballooning outside of yourself allows one of those kind of old ones to touch it, get a tentacle in there. And once you've got a tentacle in there, then you've got a live Wi-Fi connection. You've got a stream to it. You say, okay, and I think of it like where focus goes, energy flows, to quote Alex Collier. So what I'm saying is, when you think outside of the box and stretch yourself, okay, the frequency of that thought, the flavor of it, that's the old one that will touch it and give you a little hint. You know what I'm saying? And if you go down a different track, a different old one will go, well, what about this? Just to inspire you so you can keep growing, because the whole point of it always to keep growing. If this concept of God going mad because he knows everything, you got to keep this thing going. You got to keep making things happen, and
and surprising yourself, like, so, right? Like, again, if you know everything, like that's a good point. Like, how crazy would you go if you knew everything was about to happen before it happened, right? Like you would literally be stuck in madness, like in a madness loop. How could you get rid of it, right?
Yeah, and you'd be alone.
And you'd be alone, exactly. Nobody to talk to except for the dark counter player.
We might. That's another idea for like what caused the whole thing. What it might not be a choice that whatever this monad made to create dualism to perceive itself. It might be a reaction of knowing everything, and the mind like split. Like the Big Bang might be just a shattering of this consciousness into infinite different vessels, like into infinite different pieces. And what we're doing is we're experiencing the Humpty Dumpty effect, of we're trying to put this mind back together, and like maybe the singularity, this transcendental moment, is when the mind is fully completed. So when we see these like moments of, oh, that's right, we get the feeling of we're doing something right. Those pieces go together. That's just like a memory of the collective to what the shape was before the shattering. And like maybe the big crunch is like when we put the last piece together, and it's like we become that mind again.
Yeah,
maybe that's why they call it such a big gift and they emphasize it in some of these religions, why it's such a big gift. Maybe it's as simple as this monad force didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And thus gives us one. You know what I'm saying? The one thing it didn't get that puts in hell, basically. It's in hell. It's in a hellish, eventually. It's in a hellish situation. So how do you get out of it? You got to try and forget some of it, you know, and it gives us a choice. And where's Bailey, man? God damn it! Because I talked to Bailey about this a few times, and Bailey's like, "Well, that's a bit law of one stuff, and it could be a trap. You get us into the AI." It's a good conversation.
Bailey's
God damn, call in Bailey.
Bailey's brilliant. If you're out there, Bailey, we're listening, and you're brilliant and amazing stuff. Couple more amazing things from chat we have to add to this. Ronald Powell again says, "What's up, buddy?" Over on Rockfin. A black hole is akin to a cosmic Roomba, the Roomba of Doomba. We also have some other amazing stuff. Dawn says on YouTube, "There is no side. We are all one." I love that. Matt in California, who called in earlier, says, "The only demons we should be afraid of is the ones that we create ourselves." Good shit. Good shit. Lots of amazing minds out there, and that's why this works, right? This works as a collaboration, and I can't thank you guys enough. Again, no time frame for me. I'll wear all you fuckers out. You know me. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Kelly? Kelly, you've been quiet for a minute.
Just listening to you guys on that right there, where you're saying that you could see stuff before it. You know what's weird, man, is I can do that, and I do it all the time. I see shit before it happens.
Yeah,
it's weird too. Like I'll see, and sometimes it's dumb shit. Like I'll like swinging around, and I see myself knocking over this, you know, some wine, and I actually fucking do it. Or like, but like, well, no,
the Oracle would ask you if you didn't see it, would you still do it? You know?
Yeah, but it's happening so simultaneously. Is that it's like split second before it fucking. And I even stopped one time and like fuck the other day at work, and I was like, why am I fucking keep fucking seeing this shit, man? It's starting to fucking.
I think I know why. You know, I think I know why. 'Cause it happens to me as well. But I don't get. It's usually. I think it's because. As you're approaching, I mean, it's hard to say a moment in time now when I've had this conversation, but I think as you're approaching a point of which something's going to happen, let's say, you know, your unconscious mind makes decisions 3 days before you do it. When you think I'm going to call Mike, you kind of mind's already decided that a few days before. Okay, so I think what happens is that as you get into the point where something's going to happen, and it don't have to be significant, it could be anything, just having to pick it up. But as you get into that point, it's like the standing waveform is solidifying, and it's yours, so you pick it up.
Yeah. Duncan Trussell describes that as like a runnel. If like, and like reincarnation or whatever, like the idea being that we reincarnated, we've done this so many times, like the number is the amount of times it would take a bird to drop a feather onto a mountain and to erode that entire mountain. It'd be like infinite times, countless times. So it's like we have certain things that we do every time, and he calls that like a runnel, where it's like a pattern that like feels it's like our natural trajectory, what we would do if we just kept doing it like mindlessly. And then sometimes there's moments where we do something different, or we catch like glimpses and we change what we're doing, like the Kelly moment of like, whoa, I've seen this, let me stop. So and then it doesn't happen. That creates this like whoa force that you're like escaping this like multiversal gravity well type thing. You're escaping this runnel, and that's creating more novelty. So like the point you were saying, Rohan, about like the more crazy the idea, it allows like this tendril to seep in. If like the point of consciousness or our reality is for consciousness to experience itself in infinite times, then the novelty would be like baked in. We'd be rewarded for having like novel ideas because we're creating more complexity. So like a lot of people talk about that. Like I'm somebody who doesn't like really get out of my comfort zone and stuff. I do a lot of the same things all the time. But people who talk about like, yeah, I just quit my job and I just hitchhiked and I just started doing it, and I haven't known where the next like $5 is going to come at any moment for the last like 20 years, but I always make it. It's like it seems that the universe rewards you for taking these leaps and trying to do these novel things that creates more complexity in your life, because fractally, that's like what consciousness is trying to do, creating more experience, or experiencing more experience,
Yeah,
I like that. I like that repeating things. I like that, and because, like I said, I think that's why certain things resonate with you. And then it looks, from a gamer's perspective, it looks like leaving Easter eggs for yourself because they're significant
exactly.
to jump forward. That's how you get the little hack to get past level 4 because that's a crap level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
There's always the worst level in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what about the repeat thing as well. Sometimes you do things by routine because it's just you have to in the setup that we've got in this life. And so I remember distinctly, and even as a kid, I thought this is not right. And then you just move on because you're a kid, innit? You think, oh my god, 18's on, whatever. But I remember running up to my bedroom as I normally do, and I opened my bedroom door. Grab the handle, open the door, and then I shut the door, but I didn't let go of the handle. But I didn't trap my wrist. And I thought, hang on a minute, I forgot to let go of the handle, so my hand's on the wrong side of the door, but it's still shut, and my hand's fine, and my arm's still there. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's I've had so much routine doing that, that like reality is just, the door shuts, and you carry on and do your thing and play your computer. Do you know what I mean? But I knew, because I'm observant. For tons and tons of like reasons to do my upbringing, I've got a really good memory for the events that I witness, things that happen, and I know I didn't let go of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Jeez. What do you think, Mike?
Fucking wild is what I think.
Wild stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Like I think all the concepts are valid and worth considering, and that's why we do this, right? It's one of those weird spots where it's like I don't know, right? Like let's take it as far as possible, and then what happens? Have you guys ever actually like Rohan described, come to like an end of like, well, what if, and then infinity like kind of like bricks your brain? You ever had that moment?
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
9 times an hour for me.
Yeah. It seems like I don't know. It's almost like we're. It's like you know what I mean? Like, no offense to my dog and like the animals of the world. I love them to death and they're amazing, and I'm not quite sure my dog can consider the things we're talking about tonight. And so it's almost like we were kind of put here with that yin and yang press from the both sides to really squish that out of us, right? To like kind of maybe through the fact that we can actually discover, right? It seems like that's the case, right?
Yeah, I think I said this before. I go to it a lot. I think it's a cool way to think about it. But if you to take like life forms on this planet, kind of, or like life forms that we know of as a trajectory of consciousness, like you start with like stone or whatever, or like some type of like crystal or something that's here for a really long time, like a stalactite or something that's coming into form over like countless eons, but it's experiencing like nothing essentially. And then you go to like a plant that's like coming into form. It goes from seed to fully formed to deceased in a very like short like span of time, but it's experiencing its immediate surroundings. That's taking in that amount of novelty in its immediate zone. And then you get an animal who is born, comes into form, and experiencing its reality, but it's able to walk around like a dog. So a dog comes into form. It's a puppy. It experiences its immediate life, but it's not like having complex thought. And then you get human consciousness, which comes into form. It's consciousness on the move, so it experiences more novelty than if we had roots and we were stuck in one spot. And then we have the added layer of we're thinking about us thinking. We have a consciousness that looks back at itself, like which creates infinitely more novelty. And that's the idea of like us humans as creators. We're thinking about our thoughts, and we're consciousness perceiving itself within one body. Which is adding just infinite novelty. Just to take it to just a really small like show level, like we're at this level now as a show. We're all here together talking about our own personal experiences and thoughts. But then as the show grows and gets bigger and bigger, we have like millions of new thoughts coming in. That's going to create more and more novelty, and who knows the idea we'll stumble upon like a year from now. Like it's really crazy, and then that leads to more novelty and more novelty. And if that's the function of the universe, then we'll in some capacity be rewarded for it. That's why it feels good to get together and talk about these complex things, because the more complex it is, the better it is for that monad to experience infinite complexity. You know,
and the better it can improve things as well. I think it's gathering data all the time to make a better and better product. You know?
Yeah.
So what is the product then? What's the product? Is it us or is it the universe?
Remember that feeling? I can't remember what it was, but I put the comment of it. It's almost like what you're saying. Is this like the beta test sandbox planet? Do you know what I mean? We're just, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the dog wagging the tail. I don't know. Is consciousness experiencing itself? Is that the goal, or is it? I don't know. Is it the experience? That's the thing. I'm not sure.
I have no idea. Just a side note too, just so everybody knows, things have changed a little bit on Fringe FM, and our friend Ryan Gable is now. It used to go. The time slot was Troubled Minds. It would go Joe Roop, who's actually the boss and the leader of Fringe, and then it would go Ryan Gable. And in the old days, Ryan Gable used to have a recorded 2-hour show, but recently he's been going live. So I want to point this out to you guys. So if you're listening and you're like, hey, you know, like when Trouble Minds ends, Clyde's over, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not listening to George Norrie. What am I going to do? Go listen to Ryan Gable. Ryan Gable has been, again, like he impresses the shit out of me because not only is he like we are probably, him and I are polar opposites in like the style of show we do, but we're both very good at what we do. Like, go listen to Ryan Gable. Like, I'm shocked. I used to think that he would do some edits and, you know, like he was so clean and perfectly polished because he was like editing shit. No, he's now live. He's live on the radio at 11 p.m., which is coming up in about 30 minutes from now on Fringe. And the crazy part is, no, he's just that polished. He's just polished. He's really polished. He sounds the fucking same on a recorded show and on a live show. He sounds the same. I was not shocked, but let's say I was mildly surprised. Like, wow, this is just Ryan Gable. Like he just spits hot fire. Like he presses record and goes. But I was talking to him too offline, and he was telling me that he was saying that he preps 4 hours for a show type of thing. So it shows, right? He's got a fantastic memory, a brilliant mind, and just letting you guys know. So when we finish, right, even though, well, I'm not going to say it, but like, let's say that, when we finish, go take a break or whatever you got to do, because there's, well, some shenanigans happening. But at 11 p.m. Pacific, Ryan Gable comes on, and he's live on there, so you can call him and talk about shit. And he's talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. Like he had Derek on the show last night. Yeah, Derek was on the show last night, and they were talking about fucking Titans. I was like, oh shit! Like like I saw the show was about Titans, and then like 30 minutes later, he says that Derek was going to be on the show. I was like, fuck! I should have known. I should have known. We're talking Titans, and Derek is here. Yeah,
he's great. I'm really jealous of the way I feel like the should I say is like interesting sometimes, but I just don't love the delivery in which I say it. I mumble and I stutter and stuff. But Ryan is just like he is very polished. He's very clear and concise, and he puts a lot of prep in, and I'm very envious of his style. Like he's very good.
Exactly right. So,
quick comment on that. What you just said there.
Go ahead.
I think this when we think words, with doing the word salad and the rambling, I think that might be a bit of a clue to authenticity and genuine curiousness, because I think we're probably unconsciously aware that when you say it, it's obvious that our own experiences and our own stuff in our own head is always going to be the most interesting to us because they're ours. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the ultimate icebreaker in a conversation starter. Tell me about you. So I think when you're honest and when you're trying to do your best and trying to, you worry a little bit that you're boring people because you know that your own words are going to be more interesting to you. And it's just, I think it's authentic. I think that's what it comes down to. So it's like a thing to try and dodge, to give yourself confidence, but at the same time, it's kind of a good thing as well, because it shows a sort of strength of character as well.
Ramble. Brian After Dark says, give Ryan a listen if you haven't. I agree. Let's again, like I said, let's again. He's been very, very kind, very gracious, and very cool to me behind the scenes. And Ryan's a good dude. Check out Ryan Gable on Fringe FM. He's in about 24, 25 minutes, something like that. And you can see, this is what I'm saying. Like, you listen to him, his old shows like a year ago, he was pre-recorded and he put them up, right? So it would go me live, Joe Roop, and then it would go Ryan, a recorded show. But now he's doing it live and he sounds just like his recorded show.
Sounds good, yeah.
I almost feel like he's a robot or some shit. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
It's only time zones. If it's only time zones, I think, because I know before the Fringe days, before he was on the Fringe, I used to follow him back then, and he used to do live then. Do you know what I mean? And like, I say, it's always the same. It's always the same. And I used to sometimes, and that then he was in the Discord as well. He was in the Discord thing, and I used to sometimes chat with him. Do you know what I mean? And he can still manage that. He'd be blasting through that, and every now and again I'd say something, thinking he'd be at the end, and he'd be like, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? He'd comment back. Do you know? And it's like, I've missed that from him not being able to go live. So that's really great. I'm glad you brought that up, because he's a beast when it comes to it. And regardless of styles, you're going to get tons of information. Like this show, that show, and it's good quality information. You know what I mean? It's there.
100%. Just want to point that out. Well, I'll keep talking about it because, like I said, he needs some love because, again, this is the problem, right? So, like, we've been doing Troubled Minds live literally since the fucking beginning. So when people show up, they're like, they expect a live show. Ryan he started live and then he went to recorded shows. And so now he's kind of on the back end of Fringe. Again, the 2-hour block, Troubled Minds, 2-hour block, Joe Roop of Lighting the Void, 2-hour block of Ryan Gable live doing the Secret Teachings. And the dude's brilliant, I'm telling you. He goes on Clyde Lewis every year and does a Super Bowl show regarding symbolism and all the rest of that. Like, he is literally all the shit I wish I knew, Ryan knows. Right, like that's, and I'm not kidding you there. Like, just go listen to the dude. He's very well read, and he does his work, and it's an impressive thing. So check it out. Like I said, this isn't turning into the Ryan Gable support show, but it is because we're bros, and he's been, like I said, he's been very cool and very gracious and very cool behind the scenes to me. So it's all good, right? Like, spread it out. If you're still awake at the end of Troubled Minds, you're like, God, I want some more. Turn on Fringe, because he does it exclusively on Fringe. And again, this is one of the amazing things about Fringe, is it's kind of like its own independent, like, I don't give a fuck thing, and that you could just go on and say whatever the fuck you want, right? So he doesn't have YouTube censorship. He doesn't have any of the rest of this stuff. It's like just a censorship-free platform for him. And so he just does it on Fringe and then just cuts it to a podcast. It's as simple as that. So you can find him on, I usually listen to Fringe on TalkStream Live. I don't know why.
Yeah, me too.
I always have, right? I always have. But you can find it on the Fringe FM website and just smash play at 11 p.m. Pacific. Kelly, you still here? Sorry, man. We've been railroading you.
No, man. Because I gotta get up in the morning and shit. So, like, I look at the cosmos as kind of like the ancients did, you know, like the Egyptians and the Vikings, you know, like going through Valhalla. They had all their ships that they had at night, or, you know, put them, you know, with them in their, you know, when they put in their they die and shit, right? So I look at it, you know, they look at the cosmos as a river, and that's what I look at it as. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at a river, you know, and sometimes on the ends of the shore, you'll see like the rivers make a little whirlpool, kind of like black holes. You know, maybe that's what a black holes are. They're just spin-offs, and that's what we are. And at the very bottom of that spin-off, you know, most things that are the same, you know, like different molecules, they collect together. And maybe that's what we're doing here. We're at the bottom of the whirlpool right now, and the collective minds, the troubled minds, are all looking for that information. And with that, you guys have a good night.
Have a good one, Kelly. You're the best.
Nice. Thank you, Kelly.
Great shit as always, brother. Sleep well. Have a fantastic weekend. Probably taking the week off. We'll catch you the following week. Always a pleasure, my man.
All right. Take care. Good night.
Later, bro.
You too, bro.
Yeah.
You all right? You all right?
Yeah, dog's barking over there. Like I hear the dog ready to go outside. Right?
No, she's fine. I just let her out. I keep her in a pin right here next to me because she's basically still in that puppy kennel phase where if you don't like keep her like where you can watch her, she'll disappear.
Yeah.
Like literally. I'm not shitting you. I got the standy desk. I've got the whole nice rig. I got it all set up. I got the new monitor. Everything's fucking purring like a kitten. This little bitch climbs underneath the fucking desk and she's chewing on the power cord, right? Like what the? And I didn't realize it because I had her little bed right there. She was just chilling by my feet. I was like, oh, she's such a good dog. No, she chewed the fucking power cord of like the main like system like wall wart sort of situation, right? Down to the fucking copper. Like I don't know how she didn't fucking shock herself, but I was like, what the fuck? Like so now she's not really allowed to be by herself because she's still chewing shit like that, and she's a puppy and
get a lecture mask.
But holy fuck, right? I was like, literally, like, not only could she have killed herself, like she could have ruined my whole fucking rig. There's way too much money in this rig for her to fucking ruin it. So basically, she's back to kennel style until she chills the fuck out. She's got chew toys. She's got all the things she needs. She eats when I gave her a stick. She's got all the she's the most spoiled fucking dog on the block, but she's still a puppy and she's still dumb. Still trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Yeah, right? Like we were all like what 15 once. You know what I mean? That's kind of where she's at. Yeah. So yeah, just FYI, next week, probably taking the week off. I don't know, I might get itchy and like jump in like late in the week or something, but don't count on it. And also, I might do a surprise show tomorrow.
Oh snap!
But just because I know I'm going to miss it for the week. But there's a lot of shit to talk about. There's a lot of shit to do. But I feel like we missed one this week for the monitor issue. We missed one last week. I feel like we owe you one. So maybe look out, wink, wink, for maybe a show tomorrow night. And if it's just going to be just kicking it, sort of like a Jimmy Church style lazy call-in and talk show, we can do that. Or maybe a revisit. I don't know. Like whatever.
Lazy talk show.
You know what I mean? It's so lazy. It's so lazy when you're like, open lines. It's open. Fuck off with your open lines.
Prep, you know what I mean? No prep, yeah. Yeah. Like, they bail me out. I'm lazy. No. Yeah. Like I'll at least have something to kind of come, bring something to that. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so just FYI. So next week is probably the week off. I'm going to just, I got some other things I got to take care of. And some other things blooming, right? So that's a good thing. That's always a good thing. The more things that happen are the more time we can spend on things like this. All right. And so clearly you got to split them off, but there's work I do. I have another job and I do another thing and all the rest of that. So if I can stop doing that thing and start doing more of these things like YouTube type stuff and things like this, well, shit changes entirely because then it's just this, right? So it's good. It's kind of a transitionary sort of situation. So that's what's going on. So good timing. Not tired again. Not physically tired. I feel perfectly fine. Knock on wood. I feel healthy. I feel strong. I feel ready to go. It's like that. Again, like do this, guys. Just do this one time. Set yourself a deadline on like Wednesday. Just pick a random day and be like, okay, I have to have a concept for a show I can talk about for 3 hours by 7 p.m. Go. Right? Go. No, stop.
Yeah. Just again, like just give yourself like a mental exercise. It's fucking brutal sometimes. Like there's fucking sometimes it's like 6:15 and I'm like, oh fuck. What are we gonna do?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Just mentally, it uses your mental bandwidth just to be on the air. I mean, I was a guest. It was on my show. I was just a guest last night, and then tonight I called out sick from work. It was just too much for me. I was spent. I can't imagine how you guys do it every night. Just a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of eyes and stuff.
Yeah, apparently I was muted
stress and pressure is what made diamonds, right?
Oh, we heard you.
You guys did. They didn't. They're like,
Oh,
so I got this whole new setup, right? And so I got this thing I can press. So it's all like tactile buttons now. I can press these buttons to like do this and change the screen, right? Like that. I don't have to like mouse or anything anymore. But there was apparently a glitch right then because it clicked over and like clicked me off like I was on the commercial or something.
Oh,
so there was a fucking bug. So I it's all like actual actual buttons now. So it's like a real fucking radio station almost, right? So I don't have to do all that shit. But yeah. Anyway, so what I was saying that you guys missed is it's mentally draining to try and come up with a new concept every day because we have a high bar, right? Like if I was just like doing panel shows and like talking fucking UFOs every night like the rest of these assholes, and you can fill in the blank who the rest of these assholes are, that's so fucking easy. It's so fucking easy. So yeah, I did literally, sorry guys, I see you there. I didn't mute. It was a fucking bug. It did it itself. But my point was, it's mentally exhausting to try and come up with some shit. That's the thing, right? It's it's not a physical tired. I'm well. I'm healthy. I'm enthusiastic. It's just the pressure you put on yourself to beat yesterday, because right, you don't want to be worse. Is right? Like fuck, man. So like I think the thing is, right, like once you take a few days off and start to do something else, like I'll be itching to get back. That's for fucking sure. But yeah, see,
just hope that
you're muted. You're
hope
muted.
the UFOs don't invade. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I hope the UFOs don't invade next week, or any kind of big news. We find a Bigfoot or a Loch Ness, something that demands you come on the air.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, if it does, you know me, I'm not fucking scared. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump the hell on here, and we're gonna talk about it. But there's a lot going. I mean, look again. Today, yesterday, wherever the fucking time zone you're at, was January 6th. Like, what the fuck do you think everybody else was talking about? And that's why, like I always say, when everybody zigs, I try and zag, because these assholes are all doing the same thing, the same fucking thing. Like really, it's so exhausting. It's like, oh, okay, got it. You're gonna argue this side of that thing. You're gonna argue the other side of that thing, and we're gonna do the same. We're gonna repeat the same bullshit over and over. My God, right? Try and pick something. There you go. Cal in the chat says, yeah, it sucks to be interesting and intriguing. It doesn't suck. It's just hard. It's harder than it looks, let's say. Like I said, my secret weapon, I've got you guys, and I appreciate you very much for that. But it's still the concept, the seed idea is difficult. And sometimes there's a miracle, right? Tonight was a miracle. It was one of those miracle situations where I was reading that thing from Avi Loeb, and I was like, this is kind of weak, Like, we talk about the simulation theory, the Matrix, and all that. I was like, fuck. Like this is the best I got. But then I dug just a little deeper, and it was like, oh, this fucking book by Homeboy. What is it? What's his name? I forgot now.
Alistair Clark.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, and so it led me down this other rabbit hole, right? And so, like, that's good. That stuff is all good. But again, right? It takes time. It takes energy. It takes like. Just a little time off to relax is good. So yeah, I don't know why I got muted. I literally didn't push any fucking buttons. But anyway, I'm back. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Is Kelly actually out? Kelly bounced. He's got to wake up early. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I think Daryl's Daryl. Daryl?
I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, Daryl.
What's up?
So yeah, I don't know why I got. Hold on, let me turn off my computer.
Thank you very much. We'll get Daryl in, and then we'll wrap this up.
I'm going to close this. What was I saying? My computer.
There it is. There it is. I got the dog back in the kennel here. I can't trust her. She runs around and she just chews up shit she shouldn't be chewing on. It's like first it's carpets, then it's cords. It's like fuck, come on. Like you got. I'm stepping on chew toys, like stubbing my toe every fucking day because your chew toys are all over the goddamn house, and you're chewing on cords and carpets. Come on, what the fuck? Can somebody subconscious this dog and fix this? Somebody fix this.
you love your dog, and we love you for loving your dog.
I do.
It's so adorable how much you love your dog. I know you love your dog.
Thank you.
Daryl.
Thank you. Daryl, welcome to the joint. What's going on? Sorry to leave you there. We're about to wrap this down, but we just keep on fucking talking. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Trouble Bites. What's on your mind, my friend?
I just love the show tonight. I forgot totally what I wanted to contribute. But I had a kind of an out-of-body experience, a near-death experience type of thing here, coming out of the anesthesia during my last and finally Operation Beat. And thank you very much. But I had a crazy near-death experience, I guess, you know. Like the earth slowed down, and I was so sure I had been there before. I knew what people were going to say right before they said it, and you couldn't talk me out of it. I don't even know if I was kicking and screaming, but it knocked me out. That knocked me out to shut me up. It was quite frightening, you know. I don't think being aware of certain things, or I don't know, having out-of-body experiences that are enhanced by drugs or by other substances is such a great idea. Must I mean, ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Just be careful, guys. Be careful what you do.
Yeah. I'm glad you're out of the final stretch here. I'm glad you're ready to go home. You coming home this week? Another day or two?
I would have been home today, but I was in really a lot of pain, so I just wanted to stay one more day. Otherwise, I'm doing really great. Like, I'm doing better than expected. So yeah, I should be home tomorrow. I'm doing so many firewalls here. I'm so over it. I can't even get into Discord on my computer. But I totally forgot I have my cell phone. So here I am. Yeah, I'm ready to come home, and everything is like I'm totally back to normal. Everything's what it's supposed to be, and just missing you guys, loving listening to you guys all the time. Such a great show tonight.
I miss you too.
I caught up on all the science fiction movies. I mean, like everything that I could watch science fiction. WALL-E, Star Trek, see, which are Transformers, you name it, Marvel stuff, Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
You name it, I don't know. I mean, this is what I get, you know. I just watched everything possible, so I hope I can chat with you guys about.
Nice, that's cool.
That kind of funny stuff.
Fucking right. Well, welcome home. Glad to hear you're on the mend, and that's the final procedure. You're good to go. It's all uphill from here, or downhill from here. I mean,
all done. Anything I do now is my own fault.
Nice. This is your own damn fault, Daryl.
The master of your own destiny.
Yeah, there we go.
I won't chew any of the power cords, that's for sure.
Yeah, don't do that. Definitely don't do that. Especially when you see copper. Stop biting. Stop.
Oh, yeah, no, I know it's top. No, you can't tell that to your dog. I love your dog. Your dog is a sweet one. He just doesn't matter.
Right.
But you adore your dog.
Right on. Welcome back, Daryl. Prayers, frequencies, vibrations, whatever it is that resonates with you, all the best thoughts and all the best will for you. I hope you get better quick, and I'm glad you're home. Glad everything has worked out, and look forward to many great conversations with you.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much. And it's been like a Ritz-Carlton, I'll tell you. Yeah. Just ask me. It's been really nice. This place is like so luxurious. It's really kind of cushy, you know. I'm really enjoying it. I really, that's cool. I even had someone come in for my relaxation and rub my feet with lotion. Oh, it was such a it was nice. I loved it. So I can't complain. Just have to know who to ask and what to ask for. And you get it, you know?
Hell yeah. All right, so we're good. We got no Jay tonight, so let's do this. Let's wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's kill it. Thank you for popping in, Daryl. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being well. That's the most important thing. Thank you for being well.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving great shows all the time. Great context, and all of you guys are so smart. I love listening to you.
Thank
Love you,
thank
Daryl.
Yep, yeah, back at you for sure. So let's wrap it, boys. Final thoughts here, and let's kill this thing before I piss myself.
Yeah, the only way to I don't know, the universe rewards novelty, so get out of your comfort zone and do some stuff. This comes from somebody who doesn't do that at all. So I don't know. I'll try to take my own lesson and do some novelty, create some new experiences for yourself, I guess.
Yeah,
make the Overmind notice you.
Yeah. Let make the Overmind notice. And like Robert has said over on Rockfin, it's like we create our own destiny, right? So maybe stepping into that destiny ourselves, making that decision, like the hard decision, is always the best thing for the Overmind, because it's like, yes, I fucking got what I wanted, right? Get it,
exactly.
Get it. Absolutely. There you go. Matt in California says 4 hours as predicted. Yeah, well, you can't win them all. I threatened 2 hours and we got 4. All right. What else, Rohan? Let's wrap this. What you got, buddy?
Yep, I got this. We make Doctor Strange look like a morsel, a mere mortal, compared to how we talk. You'll see visible rings of torsion whizzing past your ear if we go fall to the floor.
Hell yes.
Oh, bars.
Hell yes.
Fire, brother.
Speaking of bars and fire, we got a couple individuals here. Actually, we have all 3. Matter of fact, so let's start from Night Stalker. Has a YouTube channel. Give him a follow. Link in the description. Rohan, YouTube, Night Stalker, he's brilliant and we all love him, and we need to push him out of his comfort zone. Make some YouTube videos, bro. Get your shit up there. Jennifer's doing it. You need to be doing it. Do your phone, record whatever the fuck, put yourself background on a wall or whatever the fuck, and just upload some shit. People will listen, people will watch. You're brilliant, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Give Night Stalker a follow. Scroll down and check out his YouTube channel. It says follow Night Stalker here. Rohan, the mighty Rohan, Liam Martin, the famous Liam Martin, like I always say, has a podcast called Exiled Minds Podcast. Link in the description. Scroll down. Follow these fine folks. Amazing, smart people. Daryl also has a YouTube channel. Daryl sings. Daryl has a French single. She sang in French, if you can believe that. Can you sing us a quick little maybe the something? What's your favorite part of that song? Give us a little something. Or no, if you're not feeling well, that's okay. We'll do it another time. It's okay.
I won't sing with my poor stomach going right now, but
okay.
There's some of it is in English. It's called Why Paris, and j'ai traversé l'Atlantique comme tu changes de trottoir. J'ai pris l'escalier mécanique qui va Brooklyn au Grand Boulevard. That's enough.
That's enough.
How's that?
Beautiful,
good stuff, Daryl. Absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna Daryl sent me that link. I'm gonna add it to the description below. It's not there now. Check back and I'll put it. And Daryl, welcome back. Glad to have you back. I'm glad everything's working for you and sound as good as ever. You're the best. Thank you everybody for being part of all of this Troubled Minds journey. Again, if you want to help the show, you guys know what to do. Spread the word. If this is the thing, right? So we got a week off coming. I'm gonna take the week off. No Troubled Mind shows next week at all. We'll have the news show tomorrow, and that'll be that. Next week, unless fucking aliens invade, they might. You can't
rule it out. You can't rule it out, brother.
You can't rule it out. Then I'll jump on here and we'll talk about aliens invading, because we're the tip of the spear regarding that shit. But otherwise, we're going to take a whole full week off. Next week, it'll be a clean slate. I'll try and find some old shows to put up on the podcast feed just to keep you busy in case anybody out there on the podcast feed is like, what the fuck, man? So, but the thing is, if you're missing Troubled Minds, don't forget that you haven't heard all the shows, right? You came into this journey at some point. The only one who's heard them all is me. You know why? Because I was here for every fucking one. That's why. And you also know how you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you, Rohan?
Practice.
That's why. And that's why if you think, man, this Michael Strange, no, fucking practice. Go back and listen. I was never good at this until more recently. Like there's a lot that goes into it. Talking about practice. I'm talking about practice. So anyway, point is, there are some old shows you haven't listened to. So if you're going to miss Troubled Minds this week, I encourage you to go listen to the podcast feed. Check out Spotify, iTunes, all the rest of that stuff. And listening to those shows, again, they got some commercials mixed in there. It's kind of ad light. Like, you could smash the shit out of it with commercials, but it's not. It's ad light. But listening to the podcast feed does send pennies my way. I appreciate that very much. If you miss Troubled Minds for the rest of the week, go find an old show you haven't heard. Go find an old favorite.
Check out Frank. Go hear Frank. Yeah.
Which Frank?
Go check out Frank, the old co-host.
The old Frank. Frank is on there. Exactly. Yep. Go back to the old days and check out some of the stuff. Exactly. When Frank is actually talking to me recently. He's one of those weirdos that, like, he's like a super mercurial, right, or what the fuck you call it. Yeah. So he'll won't talk to me for like 6 months, and then he'll just pop up. So he recently popped up and was like talking to me again. So.
Nice.
Maybe we get a Frank appearance. Who knows?
Yeah, get him back on. That'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. So go back and listen if you guys don't know who Frank is. He was the original co-host of Troubled Minds. He launched this whole MFer with me. He still listens, by the way, and he's like, God damn, Mike, you're getting good. I'm like, where are you at, Frank? Where are you at, Frank? But go check out the podcast feed, and I appreciate that very much. Let's smash some fucking outro music and get the hell out of here. You guys are the best. Please follow all these fine folks. I'm going to get Daryl's link down here as well, and let's roll it. We got no J-Tro, so anybody got some poetry to spit?
Oh man, I got this. give me 2 seconds.
2 seconds. Poetry, anybody? I got some. Check this out. This is from Walt Whitman. After you have exhausted what there is in business, politics, conviviality, and so on, have found that none of these finally satisfy or permanently wear, what remains? Nature.
We're just gonna
remains. There it is. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna think of Lovecraft quotes right now. I'm just gonna scan through and put my finger on one, and what I get is what we get. So.
Roll it.
Here we go.
My dog's trying to eat the cord, by the way. The same fucking cord right now. I got it. Go ahead.
All life is only a set of pictures in the brain, among which there is no difference betwixt those born of real things and those born of inward dreamings, and no cause to value the one above the other.
Wow.
Boom.
That's all I got.
Is that all?
Well, I might as well go in for a quote then. Do you want a quote, Mike?
Yeah, roll it. Roll it, brother.
Charlie Sheen, I've got tiger blood. Dines for fools, dines for ants.
You're the tiger too.
Exactly.
And of the strap on the tiger.
Exactly. All right, and this is a quote for Daryl. This is one of Daryl's favorites as we finish this up. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. That's Margaret Mead. That's for you, Daryl. Thanks for getting better. Thanks for being you. We'll talk to you soon. Each and every one of you, thank you so much. You make my world go around. Thanks for all the time and energy you spend. Like I said, we have our money, right? But our time is the most precious thing because we only have so much of it. And so thank you so much for spending that time with us, with me, with all of this. Like I always say, you could be doing a million other things and you're here. And I appreciate that so much. So thank you. Let's GTFO. Next week, Troubled Minds is off. If you want some old shows, maybe check out the podcast feed. Go check it out. Go check out some of the old shows you missed. The podcast feed pays me. Do it. Not YouTube. Maybe Rockfin, maybe Twitch, podcast feed. That's the way to go. I appreciate it very much, guys. Get the hell out of here. Anybody got some actual... Anybody gonna hang out tonight? How about that? We've got a pack. We got a whole fucking pack.
Now we're talking.
Now we're fucking talking. Damn right. Damn right. Damn right. All right. So we're done. If you guys want to come hang out with us, I will be available next week as well. Just kind of chilling, doing some other things. Come join the Discord, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link And come say hi to these fine folks. We got all these amazing people that are active on the Discord as well. Come hang out, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Be sure, be strong, be true. Catch you guys next week. Have a great night.